fashion.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
40.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Almost had a good start. As always, I'm Cap, no co-host today, but we do have a special guest, big time special guest joining us at 9 a.m. Eastern. Might have broken a record this morning. I'm not sure. Oh, definitely a record for 2026. We had some pretty big shows back in the Mania, but can't remember the last time we had 215 reminders set for the morning show. So a lot of people looking forward to asking some questions of Mr. Adam Hollander. Per Adam, ask questions, yell at him, whatever makes you happy. Looking forward to getting in that with Adam today. I greatly respect coming in and not just joining us on the show today, but we talk so often about communications and PR and not just doing announcements, but actually providing updates. And we got a pretty big update from Devin yesterday. Then CMO Adam joining the show today. Not necessarily an exclusive, but the first public interview since the big announcement that TGE will be delayed and some other updates. So really looking forward to getting into it with Adam today. As always, if you haven't yet, we've kind of stopped asking for the love on the space, but we're going to ask that this morning. Would appreciate any extra, those likes, the comments down in the purple pill down below, the repost, all the above go a long way to get this room warmed up for discoverability, help everyone else on X find us and make sure they know we're live. Again, Adam will be joining us here in about an hour. Until then, we got several other actually trending topics, news of the day. We got the Fed kicking off their 2-day meeting today. I've read some conflicting news. If anyone knows, anyone deep in the Fed meeting streets can confirm. I don't know if we get the rate decision today at 2. I know Powell doesn't talk until 2:30 tomorrow. At least that's my understanding. I don't think it really matters. Everyone, CME, Fed Watch as well as Polymarket has it at 99% that we don't get any rate change today. So I think it'll be kind of a nothing burger, whether that be today or tomorrow. But before we get into too much serious stuff, what's going on in the market, I do have a few other items I wanted to get into. Be Epic, thank you very much for the tip over there. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, a lot going on today. Hopefully, I'm not wearing green, but I am wearing a new shirt I'm going to show off. It was Von Frunten. I'll make sure Von Frunten's out there. It was Shoulder and Arms Day at the gym today, and I actually chose to put on sleeves, primarily to support the divided house tonight. We have, if you've been following the World Baseball Classic, Venezuela scored 3 in the 7th last night to win once again. They'll be heading to the finals tonight to face US of A. And in support of the World Baseball Classic finals, rocking my new Arepas t-shirt. Had to show that off. Seemed like a fitting day to bust it out. Can't get the full view during I guess normal screen here, but nevertheless, support. It's a win-win for me tonight. I've been printing. I haven't missed yet in my, not that I've went too hard in terms of volume, but have not missed yet on my World Baseball Classic bets. I've been all in on Kalshi for my sports betting recently, and yeah, these were the 2 teams I picked to be in the finals. Didn't even pick a third. I just wasn't that deep into it, but these are the 2 teams I picked. I got Venezuela at like 7%. And they're up to like maybe 30% now. Still a big underdog, but if either one win, we win. Like I've already locked in profits for the World Baseball Classic. Haven't missed any bets yet, and I had these were the two teams I had. I had actually Venezuela to make the finals, and I had both Venezuela and US to win. So either outcome, we were up on the Kalshi side, and I have several MVP bets out there. I think all on the Venezuelan side. Because they were the best priced. But anyways, I digress. Jealous, whether it's Squallow or King Squallow or anyone else that might be making the game today in Miami. I would love to go. I actually, like, half serious, half joking, talking about going to Miami, making the trek down for the game, but just too much going on. And if I'm keeping it real, okay, Zonko, thank you very much. Rates are tomorrow, 3/18. So meeting starts today. Don't get a decision on the rates until tomorrow. But again, not expecting any changes per the prediction markets and CME. I think we will just, not necessarily nothing burger. I think what they say will be as important as any, rate cuts or no rate cuts. I see GM to all of our early GMers. I know we got a few more here today to hear from Adam at the 9:00 hour. But shout out to all those in the chat warming things up. We got Risk Brian over there, Thomas, defending reigning community member of the month. Actually had a pretty good, Payne doesn't even know this yet, had a fun conversation yesterday afternoon. We've been doing this community member of the month for January and February. We got supported by the APECO Foundation, gave away some APE to teacher Katie in January. And then Thomas took home some a Beezy Claw pull for, Thomas or Otis? I can't remember. They were the two of the finalists there. But I see Thomas on my brain in the chat talking about one day 70 degrees, next day it's 20. My mother from not Cleveland, but sent me a picture from Cincinnati yesterday with her back deck was covered in snow. And she said, but it's supposed to be 70 later this week. So congrats to all the Northerners, all the Midwesterners on your lovely weather this time of year. I am almost back to full health after my trip to Cincinnati and coming down with just some head junk. Not quite 100%, but we are, we'll say 90%, and I can deal with that. Grateful for health. And it did actually, being a little under the weather, does make me great. It was Otis was the defending champion. No, that's not foreshadowing, Thomas. I'm not saying you're going to win community member of the month, but finishing that conversation, the good news is I think we may actually kick off. We'll still do a member of the month, but we might have a weekly giveaway, a weekly prize for a community member. You're going to want to be subbed to YouTube to participate in any of those. So if you're not yet headed over to YouTube, it's pinned up top along with, we're live on Abstract. We're live on the X video feed, both on my account and the Coffee with Captain account. But if you've not yet checked us out on YouTube, head over there give the show a like, subscribe. Would greatly appreciate it. Might be a good day to get some clips, and you never know, you might get a comment featured in those clips. But yeah, Thomas is not begrudgingly, he giving his finalist Otis over there the love for Community Member of the Month. But yeah, more on that tomorrow. Yeah, the Coffee with Captain account is on stage, Hizzy. So I don't know if you're not seeing that or not, but it is on stage along with our guy Jesus. And X has been a little finicky. There was an update 5 days ago. For a while, I wasn't able to find any spaces at all. I was asking Payne if I was losing my mind, because on my account, I couldn't see any spaces. I had to go to actually the tab bar to see it. They weren't usually just at the top of your For You page or your following page. I was getting nothing for a while, but it seems to be back now. I think we're okay. But yeah, if you've not updated spaces if you've not updated X in the last week, yeah, Joey's saying the same thing. Only see myself. I'm going to do a quick mic check since we have Jesus up here. Adam will be joining us on video, but we would, as always, open stage here on Coffee with Captain. We are going to field questions. You can feel free to drop those in the chat. If you have, any topics we discuss here in the first hour, trending topics, news of the day, etc., feel free to drop those questions to the chat, or you're welcome to join us on stage. When Adam joins us, we'll continue to field questions. I did capture quite a few yesterday from comments, both on my post for today's space as well as Adam's. You're welcome to join us. I would just, I'll repeat this a little later, but as always, to steal the phrase Steve coined, we do pride ourselves on being able to disagree without being disagreeable here on Coffee with Captain. So my ask is, as I said, I respect Adam for fielding the questions, maybe even an arrow or two today. Just be respectful. That's my only ask. Ask whatever questions. I don't think there's anything off limits as long as it's professional and respectful. Understand there's some frustrations around this. I'm going to ask some hard questions. I also, at the same time, I understand, agree the decision to delay. The market's junk. They got one shot at this thing. And as someone who I've not been actively farming, I do have some voyages that I've completed and been participating very passively, just doing normal activity over there. But I did a lot of historical volume, and I want to see the TGE go well, not just for myself, but for OpenSea as a whole. I think would be good for the space if it goes well, and hard to see it going well this month. Although Fear and Greed's pumping. Fear and Greed's back up to neutral all of a sudden. Did not expect like a hockey stick up during the midst of this Iran crisis, war, whatever you want to call it. But Fear and Greed has been up and to the right as of late. Bitcoin, ETH, and maybe they're saying alt season might be here. But Jesus, do you mind doing a quick mic check just to see? You're probably going to get that echo, I'm guessing. Maybe since I jinx it, we won't get an echo. But GM, sir, welcome to the stage. Other than a mic check, any thoughts this morning?
GM,
you sound crystal clear to me. How's the any echo on your end? Echo. Yeah, hopefully that goes away.
Echo.
So weird. Are you getting that on your spaces? Is it?
I am.
Okay. So it is an X
so
thing.
So annoying.
Yeah, it is. It is so annoying. No idea what it is, but hopefully it's minimized for the audience. For whatever reason, this last update, guest speakers, they get an echo back when they talk. I don't hear any echo. You sound crystal clear on my end, but
yeah, I don't ever hear an echo. Oh my God. Wild. I don't ever hear it. Oh, it's gone now. So we're good.
Okay, it's gone now. Joey just said they're hearing it in the audience. Joey, I'm curious, is it gone now for you as well? And that's the weirdest part. It only echoes for like, I don't know, the first 30 seconds the guest speaker speaks, and then the echo stops.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah. I never hear it when I'm hosting my space. So if people have it, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. It's been so long since they've updated anything with spaces. So who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah, maybe that'll be the actual next update we get from X is a spaces update. That would be nice. Would be nice. Anything else other than OpenSea? We'll probably save those comments, questions until Adam can join us. Are you vested in the World Baseball Classic? Myself. Anything else on your mind? I had one. I've seen this PFP from Dort, and I have no idea what it's from. Dort is like it's DeepL. It's a DeepL. to celebrate the big upcoming week for Shape. I just answered my own question by going to his feed. A few launches today. We got Shape, a big week for Shape. I've not been, I did a few things very early on, but I haven't done anything there. I haven't been really keeping up with that. Doodle's AI Studios kicking off today. Any of this stuff on your radar, any of this stuff that you're paying attention to, or any other, I guess, news of the day or trending topics in your world?
Yeah, I do like the Doodles AI, because that's something, listening to the guys talk about that on Loki Space on Sunday. It was really interesting. Listening to dudes and Pocky talk about that. That was good. This morning, I'm not sure if you've seen it or not. I'm not sure if you're a bearish holder or not.
Oh, I was actually going to bring that up. I'm not, but when I was shouting out, thank you for bringing this up, because I was shouting out the audience and our GMers. I saw General Wags, who's every day is posting his bearish buy of the day. And I saw that they're doing a March Madness tournament, right? There's both a free and a paid version. Tell us. I don't know the details. I've seen it. It did pop on my timeline.
Yeah. So there's this is the second March Madness. They did this last year. This is way nicer. So there are, I'm looking at it right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 free tournaments that you can enter. You don't have to have a bear. You don't have to.
Oh, wow.
Anybody can enter. One of the entries, you can win bearish NFTs. They have a token that's attached to each bearish. It's like 10,001 tokens. And each of the other two prize pools, one is 444,000 burr, which at current value is like 4 Gs.
Wow.
Then there's 222,000 burr. Then for anyone that's participating in Zeet or looking for an opportunity to get, some Zeets, they have 2 tournaments as well where they're giving away 25,000 Zeets. And the other tournament is they're giving away 10,000 Zeet prize pool. Each one has about 100. The biggest one is the 444K. There's 260 entries. There's about 150 plus entries. But then there's also some paid ones that are 0.001, and it goes all the way up to 0.025 ETH. And the cool thing is, even if you don't know anything about NCAA, there's too many teams, whatever, you can either manually enter a bracket, or you can do AI assisted brackets. And there's like 4 different versions of what. Now, I was trying to do it this morning. It could have been just buggy, but there's chalk mode, there's analytic mode, there's chaos agent, momentum, and defense wins. So the prompts are set for the agent to kind of pick a bracket based on how degen-y you want to be. So pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that is very cool, actually. If someone who as a kid, I got really into March Madness, like I would print out, I had like brackets the size of my wall. I was deep in the Fab Five era, and probably 4 or 5 years on both sides of that group. It was my favorite time of the year. I don't think I filled out a bracket last year, maybe not the last couple years, because I haven't been paying attention. And now as I'm an adult, like I'm much more of a degenerate, but I like doing things where I'm plus EV, and I don't follow college basketball, so I'm not. However, with AI, kind of levels the playing field. So yeah, I dig it. I think it's a great approach. Also, shout out to Cool Chick on her approach, where she's got a mint. I think it's still live, where you mint a team basically, and you're riding that team to the finals. They win, you win. If they make the Final Four, you're printing money. Yeah, I think the AI approach to, I'm sure we're going to see someone. I'm not. I mean, maybe probably this bearish tournament, but I think we'll see someone win a big bracket tournament this year with. They say, oh, ChatGPT or Claude or this AI model just picked all my picks for me.
Well, did you see Kalshi?
Oh, yeah. Kalshi's. So you were talking like these tournaments have 150, 200 entries, which may sound like a lot. That's nothing compared to some of these large tournaments. Kalshi's giving away $1 billion for a perfect bracket, but it's not, which is extremely low. I don't think anyone's ever hit it. Warren Buffett used to do $1 billion bracket if you got them all right. But I think $1 million to just the best bracket. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. $1 million to the best bracket, $1 billion to a perfect bracket. I mean, bro, like the only way you could hit a perfect bracket using AI or whatever, I mean, it's either you're just extremely, extremely lucky, or you know, basketball's fixed all in all.
Yeah, I'm going to say maybe a little bit of both, but probably a lot on the luck side. I also just
and a million to charity as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I am Kalshi's crushing it. Kalshi is as of late, they are on a little bit of a heater. I just found myself in a voice chat. Didn't know how I did that, but I got it fixed.
But my point with the Bears thing, there's nobody in this room that should have any excuse not to go enter, because there's 5 free tournaments. You don't have to pay anything. All you have to have is an abstract account, and you can have a chance to win some cool prizes.
Yeah.
You could even win a Bearish NFT, and it cost you literally just a few clicks of a button.
Worth taking a shot.
That team's shipping, man.
Free 99 is worth the price of admission. Nothing at risk. This is the best part. I mean, it's not just March Madness tournaments. Like, one of the best parts of crypto, OpenSea Talk. Adam's going to join us around 9:00. This show, if you're new here, welcome. We run Coffee with Captain every Monday through Friday. We start at 8 a.m. Eastern time. We'll cover news of the day, trending topics, a little bit of cold open before we get into that stuff. And then we are fortunate to have special guests join us. And when we do that, it's often the 9:00 hour. So 9 Eastern, here in about 40 minutes, 38 minutes, we will, Adam be joining us, and we'll jump into all things OpenSea and yesterday's news. But there is actually, for a random Tuesday in March, man, I guess it's not random, St. Patrick's Day, there's a lot happening. We talked about Doodles. We talked about this Bearish team shipping and their March Madness tournaments. And whether you're a bracket participator or not, this is one of those things, like, there's very often opportunities to win money, to make money, to get claims, airdrops, without putting any capital at risk, or very little capital at risk, just by being a beta tester, being a participant. And these March Madness tournaments, especially when you can have AI help you fill out the bracket, why not? Why not spend a few minutes? You never know. You might get lucky and win, the equivalent of, a few $100, a few $1,000, just for firing off a few brackets, which unlikely you're going to see that elsewhere, except some of, like, the big, like we talked about, the Kalshi $1 million prize or $1 billion perfect bracket, which is unlikely. Much more likely to win a couple out of a couple hundred, few hundred participants. Anything? So you said you listened to the Loki space with the Doodles team. My understanding, this AI studio is essentially, you can doodlefy an image or PFP, like it's just a custom GPT, a custom LLM that will spit out whatever image you put in, it'll doodle file it. Is that accurate? And I saw OG Doodles, they needed to register or claim some credits for this. So my assumption is this is also a way they're going to monetize the brand, and it'll be, you could pay by credits or by tokens then to use the platform. Is that like TLDR? Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, it is. I had asked them about that. Like, if I take my PFP or you take your PFP and put it in there, they said the AI is has gotten a lot better with doodlefying another cartoon, which was really cool. I think a lot of people are gonna, if they actually go over there and use it, I think a lot of people are gonna be surprised with how hard this team was working, and the things that they're trying to do with this. Like, from a brand standpoint, it's really, really good. What Doodles is doing, because anybody can go in and you can doodlefy your life. I mean, the art, I've always loved Doodles art for that, is because it's like, for me, it's like calming, but it's also kind of like exciting art. And I miss my doodle.
I agree. I think the art's cool. I like the art. I also, I guess I don't really miss my doodle, but I enjoyed my doodle. It was, like, as far as art goes, one of the favorite PFPs I held. And it is very brandable. Like, you see a doodle, not even just a PFP, you see something in, like, doodle font or doodle colors, like, it jumps out off the page. we did see a question: are they using Dude for this? Which, if not, I hope they
No,
incorporate
they're
it.
not. And I asked Pocky about that. Will we see that in the future where there'll be different like tiers and you can use Dude token to get other different things? And you know, you have your different tiers of chat subscriptions and whatnot. And they said maybe in the future. I thought that would be cool if they did do that, and you could, you know, all the Dude that was used was just burned or, you know, given away in prizes or whatever. But yeah, nothing integrated as of now.
Yep.
And I don't understand why brands don't launch with that in mind.
Me either. Me either. My feedback to them would be find a way to incorporate Dude. Why not? Like, why would you? Like, even if you don't want to burn it, if you just want to, like, if you need to cover the cost of this model, like, then charge the same equivalent amount and just keep the Dude, or you swap the Dude. Like, give people a reason, some reason to go buy the token, or don't launch a token. I saw Joey flew up on stage with the hand up, and then we got Loki as well. We were just talking about the space Loki hosts with the Doodle team on Sunday. Loki, if you want to get in here, we'll go to you next. But Joey, GM, what brought you up this morning?
GM. So let me get this straight. So the guys that left Doodles launched an AI image generation company where you could G-boy all your PFPs and art. And then the company they left launched an AI image generation studio that can doodlefy your PFP and art. So in the end, they all both launched the same thing, but under two different brands, and you have to buy credits, and neither one of them, and both of them have a token that apparently you can't use to on their platform. Am I wrong?
Sounds pretty close. Yes, they're same but different. I don't know when I've never actually. That'd be a good one to get back on. Is see if Austin wants to join us and talk about. I'm kidding. Talk about the Dude launch, but I would love to be a fly on the wall how that went down, because yeah, that is seemingly, at least on the surface level, very similar products, but with different brands.
I mean, one's a G-boy and one's a Doodle, and they're both AI image generation studios. I don't see the difference here.
DreamNet fixes this. A kid. It's a joke. It's a joke. Loki GM. What are we getting wrong? It's
a war room joke. You got to be there.
Is Joey's question fair? Is it accurate? Feel free to connect some dots or fill in the blanks from anything we missed.
Hey, GM guys, GM everyone. Yeah, I mean, I feel it's nothing really weird. I feel we are heading into a direction where every brand with a community, what's their goal? Proliferating the brand. So once you achieve a community that's ready to effectively work for you, proliferate for you, so you're giving them a tool. So AI tool for content creation is one of them. So I think where we've seen Boy, we've seen Pudgy Penguins last year on Discord, on Telegram. They were providing tools made by somebody in the community. We've seen Doodles now with a tool that actually is way more advanced, I think, than a G-Boy or a Pudgy Penguin, because it's really like trained on burnt toast art to respect all the rules, blah, blah, blah. So I think like there are levels where you can provide your tool, right? So, but I think this will be a playbook and will be the norm for every brand.
I agree. I think it is actually a good tool. And I think, man, this would have been awesome if we had it back during the PFP mania when everyone was rocking a PFP, and like you would have seen NFTs everywhere on the timeline, not just the PFP, but really cool stuff with it. And since we did, we saw Artifact do a lot of stuff with that community and the 3D designers. We saw Dashbow, and you have that. You can do that now with your apes with Ryda's product. A lot of cool stuff is available now, much more so than it was back in the peak mania. And I don't want to say this is table stakes. I know there's real cost, real infrastructure involved in this. It's easier said than done to create a custom LLM like this that can generate this sort of output. But I agree with you. I do think it is a good, if not great, to have for PFP communities that want to proliferate their IP, want to proliferate their brand. My question or maybe pushback would be, I don't know. I guess with Doodles, it seems like this is like a big thing for them. And I don't know. I just don't know how successful it's going to be from a revenue generation standpoint. Maybe I'm misreading that. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, but that's my read is like this is like the product that Doodles is shipping. And
is it just bigger because it's a bigger brand?
Maybe so.
I told the guys, imagine if they had this on a QR code on the side of the McDonald's cups when they launched that. Now you have people on Facebook and Instagram, everybody fucking doing
100% agreed. And I'm not just saying this because we had Cab on stage yesterday, impromptu, Cab with Klanos. Klanos said this previously on one of the last times we had him on, that they've had opportunities to do collaborations. They didn't specifically name McDonald's or Crocs or any one of the big brands at Doodles, or Doodles, Apes, Pudgies, a lot of partner with massive brands. Klanos' stance was they're passing right now because the time's not right. A lot of these times, these collaborations with these big brands, these big Web2 consumer brands, you only have one shot, or you got to nail the shot if you want a second shot. And it's just not been right from a timing standpoint. And I agree. I wasn't like, I was caught up in the hype and the mania, like, oh, this is great. Congratulations. Big announcement. But like, I'm not picking on Doodles. It's just, you mentioned like the McDonald's cup. Cool. Then what? Like, how do you got a lot of people to see the brand. Now, how do they interact with the brand? What do they do with the brand? And something like this, had they had it live then, that could be a whole entirely different journey for those customers that got introduced to the IP and then had nothing to do with the IP. They didn't, like, most people probably didn't even realize it was anything that they could, a next step they could take other than it was just a fancy holiday cup from McDonald's. Joey, thoughts on that? And then we'll get Drew in here.
Yeah, I guess I agree. Where I'm struggling, and I agree with Loki about proliferating the brand. I don't think it's fair to compare it to Pudgy Penguins, because Pudgy Penguins on their website, their meme generators, their sticker generators, their GIF generators are all free. Anybody can go on there and create something. The idea that you're going to, like, in order to proliferate the Doodles brand, or even like with G-Boy, right? Like, because there came a point with G-Boy where if you wanted to create images, you had to buy credits, and then however many images you created, you were in a tier, and that's how much G-Boy token you got, right? Or you didn't buy G-Boy, you had to buy credits, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea of proliferating the brand at the expense of your fan.
I think I lost you, or unless you were done. You cut out there. Check one. Yeah, we lost him.
That was his Dunkin' Donuts delivery driver.
It's the Doodles cabal. Talking him to talk.
He's coming back up, but we'll see if he. You might have to take a lap. We'll see. Joey, you back with us?
My ex crashed.
No worries.
My ex crashed.
We got you back.
But what I was saying is like proliferating your brand at the expense of your fans, right? Like, in order to doodlefy your stuff and proliferate the brand, you got to buy credits. Like,
yes and no. Yes, except for the OG Doodles holder don't have to buy credits. They could claim free credits. Yes, Joey got pulled into the dream net. So other people, now I don't know the right way to do this. I also like to play and I'm not funny. Like, I think it's a great tool. Just strictly looking at it from a business standpoint, a revenue generation standpoint, it is this balance of, okay, we want to proliferate the brand. We want everyone using this. I don't think people are going to pay for this. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see a lot of people spending a lot of money to doodlefy or to anything-fy because they're much more likely just to do that with a $20 subscription to ChatGPT or Claude. And while those aren't perfect yet today, they're pretty darn good. And they're the worst they're ever going to be. They're only going to get better from here on out. And I think it's a tough road ahead if this is your core revenue generation product. Thomas says, can't post pics here in YouTube chat. Just pulled out the Doodles Cup this morning. That Doodles Cup was great. Block Mage asked, why would people pay money when they can use a free service and get pretty dang close? That's kind of how I net out. And I don't know if you can get pretty dang close with the free Claude or free ChatGPT, but the $20 a month, it is pretty dang close. In some cases, it's actually image generation is the one thing I still go to ChatGPT for over Claude. It's really good. As of late, it really got the image generation dialed in, and yeah,
I think you should try Gemini. I think Gemini does even better.
I need to use Gemini more. I do. I need to find a way to incorporate Gemini and Nano Banana into and some people are big Grok fans. I still I'll use Grok occasionally when I'm on X, but I guess my point being is there's a lot of options that people are likely already paying for one or more of those subscriptions. And I think it's a really tough ask to get people to pay for very niche AI products. Zane adds, only people that care about Doodles will play with Doodles AI. Probably. I do think there'll be some others. I haven't even thought about, I almost call them Popkins, Doopies. I don't know if there's a Doopies community that doesn't hold OG Doodles that might pay for them. I don't know. I think it's a nice to have. I just don't see it as a core driver of revenue or a core business product. It's more of a help proliferate the brand. And I think they'd probably be better off to give it away for free and get everyone doodle. You really paint the world with joy, get everyone to doodlefy stuff if you're giving it away for free, or maybe you can get it with some
just as I said, yeah, give it away for free to everyone, and then have higher tiers where you can access paid and dude.
Yep. I think that is. I think that's the or limit it. You get one request a day for free. Anything else, if you want more, you got to pay for it in dude. You got to. I don't know. They're easy for me to Monday morning quarterback or Tuesday morning quarterback today on this one, but Joey, your ex is giving you a curveball or 2 or 3 today. Let's go to Drew. Drew, GM, always a pleasure. I start kind of sweating when you jump up on stage. Is there some new security breach or something we all should be aware of this morning, or something else bring you up today?
Every single time y'all say Joey's ex, I think of Joey's actual ex, not the ex app. It's very
true
funny.
Story. Joey's ex is actually Venezuelan. Hope you don't mind me sharing that, Joey. I think it's public information. But speaking of divided households, go ahead, Drew. Back to you.
I was just going to pop up to comment on the Doodle stuff. I mean, I think one thing that you said that was super important is, the Doodles team thinks this is really great, but, I don't know anyone that asked for it. Or, I think teams in Web3 have to start, thinking outside of the box of the team thinks it's great, but no one else does. And then the product flops. And, as much as this AI thing is cool and I have Doodles and, I'm looking at my McDonald's Doodles cup right now. And as much as I'm going to use it, paying for it and not having something free where you're essentially allowing your community or folks who are brand ambassadors to quickly make really good AI quality, memes or GIFs or whatever it may be. And then you're creating friction by charging for it or not having a, 3 a day limit. If I were to go tell someone, but they have to go buy credits, that drop off. I would love to see the statistics or the data from a Google tag on the actual drop off rate from people that got to that point and then didn't buy credits to go through.
I would guess it'd be a lot.
It has to be a lot. I mean, every single time anyone ever implements that for any of these AI wrappers or anything else, I mean, you'll see it all over Reddit. No one wants to pay for that.
Yep.
And, this is almost one of the tools where you eat the cost and it proliferates the brand. I mean, that's what you're paying for.
Can we briefly unpack that? And then we'll get to any other hands on stage. And then I do want to get a daily market update in here before we hit the 9:00 hour and Adam joins us. Why is that? Why? I feel the exact same way. I'm very willing. In fact, I would say my Claude and ChatGPT are probably the most 2 valuable subscriptions I have on a monthly basis. I'm very willing to pay for AI, but I'm completely not willing to pay for anything else AI that's not a general model like ChatGPT, like Claude, I don't pay for the Gemini Pro, but I do have Google Workspace and I use it for there. I do have X Premium. I use Grok through that. So I'm very, very willing to pay for the LLMs, but I haven't paid for I don't think a single other niche or I actually have. I did get some Nuco credits early on. Why is that? Any thoughts as to why that might be?
It benefits you. right? I mean, you're willing to pay for it because if you pay for it, then let's just say what ChatGPT basic model is $20 a month. I mean, have you used it enough to where it saved you $20 worth of time?
Easy.
Absolutely.
I mean, probably, I would say every day, it's probably exaggeration, at least every week, it'd save me. I mean, shoot, man, I could do one image generation and if I paid a designer one image, it's going to be more than $20.
Yeah. And time and effort and money. Like I think over the next year, this is like a realization for a lot of folks. And if you're not using Claude, if you're not using ChatGPT, if you're not using Gemini and Grok, and you need to experiment with all of these for everyone to understand your purpose for each of them, because each of them do have a very strong purpose, right, for you. And one is better than the other in that certain area. You're doing it wrong. And like there are things that we look at today where it's not necessarily inefficient, but with AI, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I was spending 15 minutes on that instead of 2. Like it's just like the year of realization where AI actually makes an impact in your life.
Yep.
And then if you add all that time up, like, yeah, you could go get dinner with a family member instead. And with all the money that you saved and all the time that you saved, like I think like as humans, we're evolving to be a lot more proficient and efficient. And now we have the choice to do with that time as we please.
Well said. I agree. I guess so. If you're building an AI product, you need to ask that question. What's the value prop for the customer? Why would they pay for this? And I don't know as if novelty is enough. I think it's got to be productive AI. And for designers and people that are deep in an ecosystem, that makes sense. But if it's proliferating a brand, I think you got to give it away. And I know that's tough. Like it's not free to run these models. Like, and that's the other challenge that these startups, the crypto native brands are facing is the big models. They're subsidized by the massive rounds they've raised. Like they're bleeding cash. Like it's very expensive to do this stuff. And at least at the consumer level, at the free level, at the $20 level, they're losing money in most cases. Most users are losing money on today. Now it will change at some point in the future. But yeah, Gemini is pretty cool. Thanks for Dort for I got this pulled up on screen here. I saw this floating around on socials on X here, but I didn't double tap it. I didn't see the prompt. But yeah, it's EDIZKAN is the account that's making dope prompts every week. This one did hit the timeline. I saw it on the timeline, but didn't do it myself. Dort just plugged it in for me. Pretty cool stuff. And so my point is like, he did this with an ape. Bored Ape Yacht Club didn't have to roll out an AI generation studio. No, they have one by way of Dashbo and Rida, but this is Gemini. And I think this is the not free. This Gemini comes with, maybe it is free version. If not, it's probably like the Google Workspace version. So $9.99 a month or whatever you're paying for that. Most people are going to already have it. And you're competing with giants in this world. I think it's very, very, very challenging to build a business around these sort of products. I think it's much more advantageous to give it away and leverage it as a brand proliferation tool. Yeah, it's EDIZKAN _ on X. Thanks for that. I'll pull up the account here in a second. Yeah, great take, Drew. We've been having X issues, so I'm just going to ask if I'm missing any hands. I don't think there's any up right now, but any
can you see me, Cap? Or
I see you on stage again. I didn't see a hand, but yeah, I do see you.
I did. I'll go real quick. So I don't believe in the credits model. I believe in the subscription model. So like if Doodles said it's, to your point, $20 a month, I think you'd get way more usage out of you have to buy credits. And how many people forget they ever have subscriptions and just continue to pay that $20 a month as a revenue model for Doodles, right?
Yep.
So I'm not a fan of credits. I think, and then the other thing is, which you guys did briefly talk on, but again, why can I not spend 1,000 dude for a monthly subscription? And then, it gives the token some actual utility. They can burn it. They can do whatever they want with it. They can give it away for competitions. Like, I just don't understand why what's the point of dude at this point? But yeah, if you're going to do this, by the way, just do a subscription. Don't make people buy credits.
I agree with that take as well. And not
that we need more subscriptions anyway.
Yeah, but it works. It's a proven business model. It absolutely works. I think it works much better than credits, especially for something like this. And maybe don't make it $20 a month, because then you're competing with the giants. $5 a month, $3 a month, something that people like. It's a cup of coffee people aren't going to think about, and they'll use your product and proliferate your brand. That's my unsolicited feedback. Here is the EDIZKAN account that's created this prompt, and Perdort and others creating pretty dope prompts on about a weekly basis. So thanks for sharing. Appreciate that. And love the look. That's and Diablito said the same. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Edizcan. Prompts are the best.
Bro, you all right?
Yeah, I'm stroking out on trying to pronounce the name. Very fitting, very on brand. If you're new here, it's about once a show I will mispronounce a name in particular, often more than just a name, but that's very. It's not a bit. It's very real. Case in point, Rita, who knows? We just call him both. But that said, it's 8:46. I'll do a quick reset here at the right before the top of the hour, but I do want to get into a daily market update because things are kind of popping off. So let me do a proper play in here. We've also got a discount for all of you that haven't filed your crypto taxes yet. You're going to save $50 today, courtesy of Awaken Tax. This is our daily market update brought to you by Awaken.
It's market update time. Let's set the play. Powered by Awaken, the smart tax way. From crypto flips to DeFi stacks. They keep it clean. Got your back. Grab your coffee. Let's break it down. Daily update right now.
This is our daily market update brought to you by Awaken Tax. Head to awaken.tax. It's the best tax software in crypto. They crush CoinLedger, Coinly, any of the others out there that you've used previously. They are great. They also, not only do they have a subscription model that will help you significantly get your taxes in order, they even, if you've gotten that new notice from Coinbase or any of the other DEXs, the new, I almost called it 1099. I'm drawing a blank on what the actual form is called, but it's a new requirement this year. You can get that for free on Awaken Tax. So at least go utilize them for that and check out their subscriptions. Speaking of subscriptions, Awaken Tax is maybe your most beneficial subscription if you're in crypto to keep your transactions straight. Use code COFFEE50 if you're new over there to save $50 off that sub. If you're a returning user, if you used Awaken Tax previously, you can also get $50 off. Just add a return in front of that. So return COFFEE50, all one word, all lowercase, COFFEE50 or return COFFEE50 to get $50 off from Awaken Tax at awaken.tax. That being said, let's head over to coins first. Let's look at the market. I mentioned fear and greed mooning up to 43 now all of a sudden. We're in neutral after not long ago. We were in extreme fear, lowest of all time. On the 24-hour clock, where Bitcoin is basically flat. It was up above 74K. It's now 73,770. ETH up almost 2% at 2318. XRP up 1.93% to 150. BNB down a couple percent. Solana flat, down 0.41 at $93. Tron up 1%. Hyperliquid, big winner, not only up 5% on the day, up 18% on the week. The other weekly winner I wanted to shout out was BitTenzer, up almost 40% on the week. I asked our guy Bunchu if they were still working with BitTenzer with Billy Betts. What am I? Why did BitTenzer run 40% of the week? Does anyone know what's going on with the Tau token? Big winner on the week. It has given some of those gains back. It's down 5.5% on the day. So if it's actually momentum and it's not just a short pump, maybe good time. This might be my trade of the day. I don't want to break the streak, and I don't know enough to really enter along right now. But having a seemingly hitting all strides on token momentum and being down on 5.5% on the day, that's kind of what I look for when I'm doing these daily longs and shorts. Which, as I said, we are, to pat myself on the back, 3 for our last 3. If you have another trade of the day, let me know, though. I am open to suggestions. Heading over to NFTs, Hyper is down 6% to 407. Hype Punks up 2.9% on the day. 2907 is the floor there. Pudgies down 1% to 4.28. Apes down 2.8% to 5.2. We've got Ringers are flat, must have been a couple sales. Mutants down 2% to 0.77. Little Pudgies down 1% to 0.47. Fidenzas down 9.4% to 17.4. Milady's flat at 1.31. Squiggles down 4% to 2.39. VFriends flat at 1.26. I'm going to ask to real quick pause on VFriends. Jeremy, I see you out there. I'm going to DM you after the show. I know he's busy. I know it's probably not his focus, especially if he's doing any sort of media tours right now. I would love to get Gary on to talk specifically about the Fly Fish Club. Nothing but rave reviews. I saw another post this morning. Our guy Steve had a chance to attend recently. Is like he wants to go every time he's in New York. I saw some pictures for the first time today, like more than just a single picture from someone there. Here it's packed. Here it's crushing it. I would love to do a deep dive on Fly Fish Club. I think it's proof of concept that in real life clubs, NFTs used as membership for these in real life clubs, these restaurants. I think it's proof of concept that it's working, and would love to do a little deeper dive. So no pressure, no obligations. But I want to hit you up after the show, see if we can make that happen. I would love to get Gary on here talking fly, or if there's someone else that's more in the day to day there that he'd rather speak on behalf, would be game for either. Just genuinely curious about how things are going beyond just what I see on the timeline. And what I see on the timeline is pretty few and far between, like not for the success they're having or seemingly having, not nearly as many people talking about it as I would think. I know it's a smaller NFT base, but I think a big win for NFTs and proof of concept of NFTs as a membership. Doodles are up 1% on the day to 0.5 on their AI studio launch. CloneX down 0.4%. Azuki down 1.8%. Gazer's flat. Not sure what these other. Genesis down 14% on the OpenSea news. More on that coming soon. But that's our daily market update brought to you by Awaken Tax. Head to awaken.tax. Use code coffee50 or return coffee50 to get $50 off your Awaken sub. Now that we got that out of the way, we've got a few not fans of OpenSea in the chat. You can put whatever you want in the chat. You're not going to offend me. I would ask, like, you don't need to keep saying F OpenSea. Fun, duh. I get it. You're all free and entitled to your opinions. That just doesn't really help. Just clutters the chat. It's just spammy. We get it. Noted. I know I see you're not a fan, but would just like to continue. For those of you that are new here, we're going to ask all the questions that I've seen. There's some tough questions. Adam is willing to take the arrows and field them all. I would just ask, be respectful. If you want to come up and join us on stage and ask him questions directly, you can do that towards the end of the interview as well. Just as I said, we do pride ourselves here on Coffee about being able to disagree without being disagreeable, and would like to continue that theme today. I'm not rare that we mute anyone. I've maybe booted, probably I count on all my fingers after 1,100 shows, the number of people we've actually removed from the stage. I think in the entirety of doing this for 5 years now, 4 or 5 years, we've like blocked like 2 people who were just distractions. Like they just weren't adding value and just would continue to go on rants that were nonsensical and or disruptive and being disagreeable. But it's very, very rare, but I will use the mute button today if we need to. And I don't care what questions you ask, as long as you're doing it in a respectful way. That said, yes, shout out to Adam. Not an easy thing to do. Not something he needed to do. I agree. Much respect. Grateful he's coming on the show today. But man, I don't envy any founders in this space. I don't envy anyone dropping a token, heading into TGE. Like sooner or later, you're going to have not great news. And I think it's much better to share head on like this, as opposed to hiding from it, not talking about it. Went on a rant yesterday about stop the announcements. Like just give us updates. And we got an update yesterday. We're getting another, it's getting followed up with real live update today. Greatly respect. They could have said, oh, we're just going to do another, we're going to, announcement and more coming soon. No, they're meeting it head on. And I do greatly respect, again, hitting the stuff head on. So,
did you get any kickback on that conversation yesterday from anybody or no?
No kickback. Actually, a few, kind of the other. A lot of, now, I'm not saying it's because we talked about it yesterday. I'm not saying it's because if you missed it, I just went on a rant about the lack of communication from a lot of crypto native brands, from a lot of NFT PFP brands. They'll just go dark for months. And I think part of what attracted so many of us to this space is the whole building in public idea. I know it's very hard to build in public, but people feel vested. Like, yes, I know they're not shareholders. No one holds, well, some people hold equity for some of those that have went that route, but it's not like the core thing. There's a lot of brand ambassadors. There's a lot of net promoters. There's a lot of passionate people about these brands. No one is expecting an announcement to run a floor price anymore. If anything, an announcement's probably going to send the floor price lower. Like outside of a token announcement, even those, it's going to be a short-term pump. No one's looking for announcements I shouldn't say no one. Very few people, if they're baked in reality, are expecting any sort of an announcement to run a floor price. So the feedback was stop with the announcements. Just give updates. Just let us know what's going on. Good, bad, indifferent. Like let us know and communicate frequently. Like the fastest growing brands in the world are communicating weekly, if not daily. You got live streamers that are popping off and going uber viral, and they're streaming nearly every second of their life. After the show yesterday, again, I'm not taking credit for this. Someone did ask if Pudgy was listening in because I wasn't attacking anyone. I did send out a clip where I mentioned Luca and Garga. Yes, I mentioned we don't need to see Garga live streamed in his bedroom. That was a slip, Freudian slip maybe. I don't know. I truly don't care to see that or want to see that. Just slipped yesterday. But shortly after the show, Pudgy's did launch a update, more so a recap. If you happen to miss it, I got it pulled up here on screen. First few months of 2026 have been strong for Pudgy, from major brand partnerships to products, experiences, and more. Here are some of the top things you might have missed over the past few months. They talked about Pudgy World. They talk about their cast card, or the Pingu card. They talk about Pingu and Polly taking over for Valentine's Day. They talked about the Congressman Tim Moore repping a Pudgy as his profile pic. They talked about the premium collectible and merch set with Man City. They talked about the urban air locations. The claw machines rather going live in these urban airs. They talked about this product launch with the world's largest toy fair. They talked about Pingu being tradable in New York on Coinbase. I saw all these. I believe I saw all these. I'd forgotten most of them. Further driving home my point that it's okay to over communicate. And it's better to over communicate than just go dark for 5 or 6 months at a time, because then you're putting so much pressure on having to nail it, having to thread the needle and have a perfect announcement. You're never going to make everyone happy. In this space, like a portion, maybe the majority of your stakeholders, your holders are going to be not happy with your announcement, especially if you hype it up. An announcement, you're making it harder for yourself. I think it's much easier to over communicate frequently, provide updates, provide recaps, and do so in different channels, not just X, not just Discord. Got to do it everywhere. Thoughts on that, Jesus?
It's not difficult. I literally, while you said that, went to Grok and said, "Can you give me a 30-day recap on @Jesus?" That's it.
Yep.
A team can go, like anybody can go do that. It's not difficult. Throw it out there. Add a few other things in there the community might not know about. No, shout out Figgy. Got a follow from the legend there yesterday, so that was great. Other than that, no, I don't care. It is what it is.
Good call out, though. Appreciate you bringing it up. Let's do this. We got about 2 minutes here. Adam's going to join us. I see he just popped in the green room, so we'll bring him up on here in a second. But quick reset, and I will ask for some help. If you haven't already, give the space a like, a repost, a bookmark, drop a comment. If you have questions for Adam, drop those in the chat down below. We will open up the stage here in a little bit for additional questions after we get through the ones. I think we did a pretty good job of capturing most, if not all, at least the common questions, the reoccurring questions from the different threads yesterday that were posted. But again, welcome to Coffee with Cappy. We are live every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. We are very fortunate that we'll get guests like Adam join us at about that 9 o'clock hour to do a deeper dive or a builder highlight or a product highlight, and really excited for this one. I will say this. Crypto, many people are saying it's what's the news? All the crypto shows have turned into geopolitical experts or AI experts or prediction market predictors. We got news, as I mentioned. I think maybe record at least for 2026 with over 200 people hit the reminder for this Spaces today. So definitely bringing back out some excitement and some news in the world of crypto and NFTs. Let's do a quick break. We'll bring Adam on right after. We'll get a quick coffee break, and then we'll be right back with Adam from OpenSea here in about a minute. Coffee with Captain. Appreciate y'all being here. We got Adam from OpenSea joining us, CMO of OpenSea. I just saw Adam recently celebrated your 1-year anniversary at OpenSea. Congratulations on that. Did you ever expect this? Like, is this, and I just want to kind of start there, jumping right into it. Is this kind of like what you anticipated when you got into the role? Is this like a little shocking? Is just like, what the hell did I get myself into? Can I ask, like, how are you doing as a human? What is this, meeting expectations, exceeding expectations on the good, the bad, or the ugly front?
That's a very funny way to start the conversation. Well, good to speak with you, brother. Thanks for having me on. Look, when you have days like yesterday and today, there are two things that you can do. You can go hide in the corner and you can, sort of wait for the news cycle to end and then you figure out how to rebuild, or you can deal with it head on. When I came on board at OpenSea a year ago, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, wanted to change the world. I said that one of my goals was to be transparent and communicative. And I am not always able to share everything that I want to at any given moment. And there are a lot of business reasons for that. But in situations like this, where I do have an opportunity to speak to what went on head on, I'm more than happy to do it. And I recognize that some people are disappointed by the news that we shared yesterday. Hopefully I can give a little bit more color, context to some of that. On the question that you asked me, how am I doing as a human? Look, at the end of the day, is it my favorite thing to have all of crypto Twitter, upset and disappointed and, yelling at me? Of course it's not. I would always prefer that we are doing things that delight our customers and where we're able to underpromise and overdeliver. And I think that we have had a lot of those opportunities. This is unfortunately not one of them. At least it doesn't feel that way inside of the moment. As a human, look, I am still very excited about what OpenSea is building. And I came on board at OpenSea because I wanted to have an opportunity to move the space forward and change the way that crypto is adopted at scale. And, a lot of people, know this about me, but, I've had professional success well before I joined OpenSea. And I was actually semi-retired before I took this gig to run marketing for OpenSea. And so there are definitely days where I look back and I say, man, like I used to, golf 3-4 times a week, and instead of spending 80 hours a week on this and having all of crypto Twitter yell at me. But at the same time, the reason that I'm here is that I deeply, deeply believe in digital ownership and the power of blockchain and what it is that OpenSea is building and working towards. And I think a lot of people still view OpenSea as an NFT marketplace, and that's how they even maybe still use OpenSea. We aspire for so much more. And the thing that got me so excited to join OpenSea a year ago was hearing Devin's vision for what OpenSea could evolve into if we play our cards right and if we invest deeply into the product. And, when I see a lot of the reactions that people are now having for, OpenSea Mobile, and, we've brought hundreds of people on in a handheld way to, test out that product. And when they can bring, all of their wallets and all of their assets across 25 blockchains together into one single portfolioed view, and, they can buy anything with anything, and all the complexity is completely abstracted away to the point where you can, double click Apple Pay to bring fiat and onboard people into crypto, and you can buy NFTs and trade tokens and swap major crypto. And you can do all of this in a way that, from my perspective, is significantly easier than anybody has ever made it before this. That's what excites me. And I know that a lot of people are really excited for the token. And a lot of people are, of course, disappointed by the news that the token is delayed. We wake up every day thinking about the token at OpenSea as a component of our larger strategy, but it's a component of that larger strategy. Mm-hmm. And so, look, I I didn't come here to just try to sugarcoat things. And so, I don't want to appear tone deaf and, jump up on a soapbox and talk about all the product things that I'm really excited about, even though that I am. I know that people want to get to the heart of the token delay and some of the decisions that were made. And I'm here to answer as many questions as I can and be as transparent as possible when answering those questions. And my hope is that people at least see that we are showing up to take responsibility for the decisions that are being made. And the other point that I really want to get across more than anything is that we have never shared information at OpenSea, and I definitely have never shared information personally that wasn't 100% based on what we were intending to do in that moment at that time with the information that we had. And, I know yesterday, and, look, some of it's for engagement farming. Some people might actually feel this way, but, you see people taking screenshots of things that I might have said 8 or 9 months ago or 4 or 5 months ago. And, look, one of the ones that, has come to market over and over again is, we literally announced that the TGE is going to happen in Q1. That's the information that we got directly from the foundation. That information was announced to market. And then somebody replied and said, I don't think it's going to happen in Q1, April at the earliest. And then I responded back, April's not Q1. 2 days after I was given information that the TGE is going to happen in Q1. Like, I didn't say that to create back and forth or the engagement farm. Really at the end of the day, it's a double-edged sword. Everybody wants, communication and transparency. And I actually try to jump into Discord, and talk to people. I try to respond to people every morning when I wake up on Twitter. And sometimes the things that I say are going to come back and bite me in the ass because 6 months later, we make a business decision to make a change or do something a little differently. And I hope that people understand that it always comes from a genuine place of wanting to communicate and wanting to be transparent and sharing information and making decisions based on all the information that we have in the moment and at the time. But look, OpenSea is a sizable business that is operating at scale. And sometimes things are going to change or be adjusted, or we're going to move in a direction that we weren't anticipating. And it's not always going to line up with every single tweet or every message in Discord or everything that I say on an interview. And I hope people at least can appreciate that, there's never been lies or deception. Nobody's getting together in a room and saying how do we, extract money from the community? Nobody at OpenSea even talks about revenue or money. Everybody just talks about how we want to build amazing products that bring the next several million people into crypto and, really affect our space at a level of scale that is good for the reason that we're all here. And I wish people could see some of those internal meetings and maybe feel a little bit better about the intentions behind everybody that is involved in building and making those decisions. But regardless, happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, we'll get to some of the tough questions. I greatly respect you joining us today. Appreciate you joining us today. Not just joining us, but taking this stuff head on. I certainly don't speak for everyone, but I would much rather have yourself, teams like OpenSea, over communicate and say some things that have to change when information changes, market changes, whatever, as opposed to just being in the dark and keeping everyone guessing. And to me, that is far worse than saying something and then things change. So much respect for that. And I guess before we get into I do have some product questions that I too am excited about, and I'm curious if that's been also causing a delay. I know most of the messaging yesterday was around market conditions as far as the token delay and whatnot, but before, do you mind educating us on the foundation a little bit? What is because it's not like it was your decision to do. I mean, maybe you played a role in it or agreed or suggested, but you've got OpenSea, the company, the for-profit entity that manages OpenSea, and then you've got the OpenSea Foundation that's launching this token. Can you help us understand what is that dynamic like? Who can you speak? Who's on the foundation? Or how the relationship actually works between OpenSea and OpenSea Foundation?
Yeah. So look, the OpenSea Foundation is a completely separate entity from OpenSea. It is the OpenSea Foundation in the sense that there's communication between the two different entities, and there's coordination that needs to happen. And, for example, if the foundation launches its token, but we want there to be utility on OpenSea's marketplace or inside of OpenSea's products for the token, then there needs to be communication and coordination that happens there. And actually, a lot of the things that at least are currently planned for the token require that level of coordination to be able to allow the token to be leveraged inside of our ecosystem. And decisions related to the token, related to any potential distribution, airdrop, tokenomics, those are all made directly by the foundation. And the foundation has a director that is in charge of that. They have their own board that, makes those decisions. And then they coordinate directly with Devin, and I have communications with the foundation as it relates to anything that needs to be happening on the OpenSea Labs side to hopefully make all of this successful and to, intercoordinate as best as we can. But I want to be very clear that decisions for things related to the token get made by the foundation, not even by Devin at OpenSea. Look, Devin's the CEO of OpenSea. If he has a very strong opinion about something, he has the ability to share that with the foundation. The foundation has the ability to then take that feedback to heart. And they probably recognize that if the CEO feels extremely strongly about something and they, are relying on, OpenSea Labs for, coordination. And, look, at the end of the day, I think it's not a lost point that if it is the OpenSea Foundation putting out C token, there is going to be a halo for that token based on whether or not OpenSea as a business is viewed as successful or on a positive trajectory.
Yep.
And so, you mentioned products. Look, we had always had intention, if you go back 6 months, 9 months, all of the discussions that we had internally at OpenSea, we said, ideally, we really want our new mobile app to be out, ready, launched, and adopted in a meaningful way by the market before a token gets launched. And again, wouldn't be our decision necessarily one way or the other, but the feedback that's shared with the foundation is that we think that if we are able to launch this mobile app out to market, and it's as incredible as we think that it's going to be, and it generates adoption, and it really opens doors to allow people to onboard into crypto and onboard into OpenSea's platform in a meaningful way that's unprecedented with our web-based products, that would be a really good foundation to lay before potentially launching a token. And we today are at a point where the mobile app is not actually launched to public yet. We have a strategy at OpenSea where we want to shift perception that we are no longer just an NFT marketplace. We are one of the best places to trade anything on chain. And we do that by bringing all of your wallets together, 25 blockchains together, by abstracting away all of that complexity about which chain you're on and whether you need to use bridges and anything else. And we also are bringing in new ways for you to engage on chain outside of NFTs. And so you can trade major crypto, you can trade meme coins and tokens. We have perps that, hundreds of people are now testing out on Hyperliquid. We have several other pillars that are planned for being able to come into OpenSea. And no matter what it is you want to do on chain, that you can do that in one place in a really easy and seamless way. But for example, that third pillar, perps on Hyperliquid, isn't even launched out to market yet. And
not even the beta testers, or it is the beta testers are?
Beta testers are using it, and beta testers love it. There are hundreds of people that are using it. But like mobile, it's not out to market yet.
I've seen nothing but overwhelmingly positive feedback on the mobile app and the perps product from those beta testers on the timeline. And I guess so, not quite ready, not live to public yet. Would like to have those live before the token. I'm not going to try to strong arm you in to get a date from the TGE. I don't expect one unless you want to give us a date range or something. But do we have maybe an adjusted ETA on when mobile app might go live, when the perps product might go live to the public?
Yeah, it's a great question. So let me take one quick step back and share something first, and then I'll get into that. We made a very deliberate decision months ago that the old OpenSea probably would have released the mobile app 6 months ago. And we would have released it, and it wouldn't have been particularly feature rich, and it would have probably had some bugs and problems, and it would have, had a couple cool things related to it, but it wouldn't have been this magical experience that warrants the level of feedback that you're seeing on the timeline every day. What we decided to do for mobile and perps was we said, instead of releasing it to market and then iterating sort of live on it in public, what we want to do is we want to onboard several hundred people onto these products. And we don't want to do it, by the way, by just throwing a link out and having them jump into it and hoping they might share some feedback. We have literally been hosting hundreds of 30 to 60 minute long sessions with every individual that now has access, where they onboard live with members of our team and members of the engineering team watching the experience. And then we ask them questions about, what do you think? What's your initial immediate reaction? What would you like to see that you're not seeing? You know, what would you like to see more of? And then every single day, our engineering team has been iterating on that feedback. And our goal was that we want to make sure that with these products in particular, for the mobile app, which we think is going to be the gateway for how the majority of people actually interact with OpenSea on a move forward basis, and for perps, which is one of the new pillars in this trade anything on chain strategy for OpenSea, we want to make sure that these products are not just ready to release to market, but that they are truly impressive to the point where anybody that uses it says, wow, this is way better than anything else that I've had to date. This is way better than my expectations for what I thought I was going to get when I tried out this product. And that's the foundation that we think builds real organic usage and growth of the products that we bring to market, and gives us the foundation to do new and exciting things with the product, as well as, of course, big moments like the foundation's TGE. And so we decided months ago to take that strategy. And actually, we thought that we would be able to release the mobile app and perps a couple of months ago, but we keep getting incredible feedback day over day. And people are like, you know, if you guys could just build this, it would really sing. Or, you know, if this section was there, it would really be, you know, special for me. Or actually, I know that why you guys did it this way and this way, but, you know, I'm a cohort of customer that really would prefer to see it in this way. And look, that's probably a never-ending cycle. I don't think we'll ever get it absolutely perfect for every, you know, individual type of customer, but we are getting closer every single day. Our intentions are that we want to release both of these into market very soon. I would personally be surprised if we are not public with both of those products by the end of next month. And I will just simply state that I'm not going to give a date right now, because we do want the flexibility that if somebody says, you know, hey, you really need to build this before you release it, and our whole team agrees, and it's going to take us an extra week or two to do that, then that's what we want to do. But we want to make sure that when people do download the app and they are onboarding themselves, they're not walking through it step by step with 3 engineers and, you know, Zach from our team, you know, walking them through it. We want to feel like that's going to be a delightful experience for almost anybody that goes through it, and that they're going to be able to connect all their wallets together. They're going to immediately be able to transact in an easy, seamless way. They're going to see one consolidated portfolio across major crypto, their NFTs, their tokens, and be able to view that in ways that they want, and that they're going to be able to trade any type of asset in the app in ways that feel better and more consumer-like than any other app that they've ever used to date. And I don't know if you have access to the app yet, but, you know, the ability to go to an NFT collection and see all the details and then just swipe and be able to bring that NFT into your portfolio, and to be able to buy an NFT on ETH mainnet with any other token inside of your wallet, meme coin on Base or with Solana or anything else. It really is something that I think has been desperately necessary for us to onboard more people into crypto.
I agree.
Crypto is just too complicated right now for the masses to get into an app and worry about, oh, well, I want to buy this thing on, I guess this is Base, but I only have, you know, this meme coin on Solana and this wallet over here. How do I connect that to this wallet? Oh, I have to bridge it and, you know, go and do this. Like, it's just too complicated. And we live in this bubble where we all get used to it. And then we say, okay, well, now I know how to do it, so shouldn't everybody be able to do it? But that's just not the way the world works. Most people just open the app, get frustrated for 60 seconds, and then they delete it and they move on to something else. And we really are trying to solve the bigger problems at scale that are going to enable the space to grow. And that's the reason that I came on board to OpenSea in the first place.
Well, respect the move. I do think it's important for the space at large to make the tech better, easier, hide the tech, make sure for the quote unquote normie, or those that aren't here and are already deep in the digital asset space or the collectible space, those that aren't here, they're not onboarding the way it has been. We need new, much easier technology. Mobile, I think, is it's table stakes in today's world, and the crypto space at large has lagged behind on that. So I agree, it is very important. Exciting to hear it might be live public within, by the end of next month. Can you speak to, and I won't read Devin's whole post. I'll pin it up top for anyone that missed it yesterday.
Sure.
One of the things that jumped out to me was 0 fees for 60 days. Starting March 31st, OpenSea will reduce the token trading fee to 0%. Will that also include perps if the perp product goes live by then, or considered different than the token trading fees?
Yeah. So look, we as a company would actually love for those 0% fees to extend to everything. There's some real complications there. And so on the NFT side of the business, it's actually very challenging to go to 0% fees, because the moment that you do, you invite huge amounts of wash trading into the platform, which then create major amounts of artificial volumes. They depress prices. They create things to trend on the homepage, and they just create all sorts of chaos. And so it's challenging to do it on that side of the business for that particular reason. On the perp side, I can't speak to that yet because that product is not public. But if there is a way that we can go to 0% fees on that product, at least for OpenSea's fees, then I think it's very likely that we will extend it that way during that same period.
Nice. Two other, I guess, kind of related product questions before we get into the C questions that most people are here for today, and might get like if we were doing the hot wing challenge, might get increasingly a little bit hotter as we near the 10 o'clock hour. But product related, any update on when we might see Solana NFTs or ordinals? Is that on the roadmap? I don't know if that's been shared. Or is that something that is coming? Or I know it's been speculated, especially after a competitor wound down support of at least one of those. But yeah, can you speak to potentially Solana NFTs or ordinals?
I can't share anything today. The one thing that I will say is that OpenSea is made of a lot of very passionate people that deeply participate and care about space. And unlike a lot of organizations that just have a lot of employees that are there to, do their job and collect a paycheck, there are people at OpenSea that, will stay up late into the night, work on weekends, take on side projects, because they are very, very passionate about what they would like to see in the product. And so I can't speak today as to if or when we will have support for ordinals or Solana NFTs on OpenSea, other than to say that there's, of course, interest because of some of the things that have happened recently. And I personally own a lot of ordinals and deeply love the concept of digital ownership and digital assets on the mother chain. I very much, from a go-to-market perspective, would love to say that every chain that we support all of the assets on those chains. And so these discussions are continuous internally. To be clear, it is not a discussion as to would we love to have these things or not. Of course, we would love to have them. They very squarely fit into our strategy and our ethos as a company. It's just a matter of opportunity cost and resources. And there's a lot of things that are being built at OpenSea right now, some of which you all know about and some of which you don't. And every time that we decide to take on a new project, especially major projects, there's decisions that have to be made around, okay, well, those 6 engineers now, instead of working on this, they're going to have to go and work on this for the next 4 weeks or 8 weeks. And we just have to constantly make those decisions about where we think we're going to get the biggest bang for our buck and make the biggest impact in terms of where we're trying to go as a company and as a business. And so, yeah, that's probably all I can share on the topic, is that being discussed, genuine interest, can't make any commitments as to if or when, but there's a lot of people internally at OpenSea that would love to see both.
Fair. Makes sense. One more, you mentioned Hyperliquid in passing there, talking about the Perps product. Blocks, regular here on Coffee with Captain, friend of the show, posed a hypothetical question. And the question isn't going to be any specific brands or protocols or even categories for that matter, but I am curious, like I flashed, we were doing the daily market update and saw the Gym Assist, which was an NFT that followed that Gym XYZ acquisition. Is there consideration of any other acquisitions at this time, whether it be a perp platform or an RWA platform? The one that Blocks hypothetically posed was Courtyard. Whether it be Courtyard or another RWA. Again, I'm not trying to put you in a tough spot or ask, what companies are you looking at or what categories are you looking at? But is that something that is actively being considered? Are you looking at other potential acquisitions to grow the product offering or bring in-house some of these brands that you've partnered with today?
Look, I'll say very generically that every company at the scale of OpenSea, whenever they want to break into new markets, always has the decision of build or buy. And so OpenSea has had some acquisitions, for example, we had Rally last year, and, Chris Maddern, our CTO, was, CEO of Rally. And speaking on a personal level, I think he was the greatest asset that we brought over from that acquisition, although we also brought over some great tech and some amazing team members and engineers. But that's always a decision. I, of course, cannot speak right now to which the company might be considering or what areas we, might be moving into, other than to say that we have very meaningful ambitions at OpenSea to evolve well beyond the way that most people perceive us today. We do desire to become a one-stop shop for people to come to easily trade culture and trade digital assets and trade anything on chain. And it's a natural extension for us when you think about, okay, well, you can trade major crypto, you can trade, meme coins and tokens, you can trade NFTs and, these types of digital assets. You can now, trade perps on Hyperliquid. There are other things in market right now that are potentially very obvious next steps for that strategy. There are probably ways that people will transact and trade and engage with culture on chain that are either not popular right now or maybe even haven't been invented yet. And the whole reason that OS2 was rebuilt from scratch was to create the rails to allow for that level of scale. And so what a lot of people feel when they think about, the original OpenSea and, OS2 is they see, a slicker interface. Maybe it's a little faster. Maybe it's a little more feature rich. But the real power of that was lighting the old product on fire and starting from scratch with a new mindset that we are going to become a very different type of company. And you need to have the rails built to allow for that type of scale. Even the mobile app and the way that it's being built right now never could have been built on OS1. And the integration points and the, mirroring back and forth between, your wallet and your account so that you do something on the desktop and then all of a sudden it, happens on mobile in a seamless, interconnected way. None of that could have happened. And so, that was another, by the way, really difficult decision that Devin had to make well before my time at OpenSea was, okay, you know what? We can keep trying to compete. We can keep trying to build head to head and keep up with, everything that's happening in market at the time with, Blur and Magic Eden and everything else. Or we can take a step back, eat our vegetables, recognize that our entire product and platform is not what it needs to be in order to be a real player in the markets that we believe that we should. And he took an entire year. And there was a year, if you remember, where, a lot of people were saying things like OpenSea is dead. Nobody uses OpenSea anymore. Everybody's going to use, these other platforms and these other products, and they're not innovating and they're not adding. But what was really happening behind the scenes is they were taking a step back to be able to take 3 steps forward. And I think in hindsight, that was a really good decision. I don't think that we would be anywhere close to the position that OpenSea is in today and building the types of things that we are if those decisions hadn't been made. And I genuinely hope that this is another one of those moments where on the surface, it might feel to people like it would have been better or easier for us to proceed forward or for the foundation to launch its token right now. But I do think that if we are able to release the mobile app and generate adoption in the way that we believe that we will with a product as good as the one that we've created, if we're able to add pillars and allow people to trade seamlessly across any asset, any blockchain, all your different wallets together in a way where all the complexity, again, is sort of put to the side or abstracted away, we're able to create an experience that is just as good on mobile as it is on desktop and vice versa, I think that really does create a much better platform and foundation to have big moments. And I'm hopeful that in hindsight, we'll look back and say we're really glad that we did that, even though it was very painful at the time.
Yep. I would just add not just Devin's moves or visions, like you mentioned Chris in passing there with the acquisition of Rally and that talent that was acquired, yourself, my friend Steve, like the talent, the team. It's not that long ago. I'm old enough to remember when people, like, a running joke on X used to be like OpenSea's 4 employees. And the reality is I think they had far more employees then than they do today. Yeah. It's just that you're like, the team is insanely talented, and case in point today, like, taking this stuff head on, it's not easy. It's not fun announcements to make, fun updates to give, but you're meeting it head on. You're doing what you all believe is what's best for the business. Getting into some of these tough questions, but this was just posed by Dude Lifts in the chat. He says, NFTs are notoriously late to broader crypto trends. There's been a ton of tension between labs and foundations, see Uniswap and Aave, and it seems like regulatory trends are leaning towards the ability for companies to just launch equity tokens or app tokens, see Backpack. So his wonder is the foundation model outdated, and is OpenSea is just going through the motions unnecessarily when newer approaches maybe give you more alignment with the community and more flexibility as a company?
Yeah, I'll be candid. I don't really think I can comment on this. I am not a lawyer. I am not deeply read up on all of the, regulatory and, what's possible as a U.S. company under, new guidance. I know enough to be dangerous. I pay attention. I, read a lot. I talk to our own, legal counsel at OpenSea. But I'm not an expert enough to comment on whether or not a US based company like OpenSea could successfully launch a token that would accomplish, what we ideally would love to see accomplished with a token like C. And so the current model is that this is the foundation's token. I don't believe that that is changing. I think it's set up in a way that hopefully can be very successful when the foundation does decide to share a new time frame and launch it. I think it's an interesting question. I would love to hear from somebody that is more of an expert on the answer to that, but I don't think I'm the right person to ask.
And with that, I know it's ultimately when is the foundation's call. The challenging question that you probably can't answer exactly, but maybe if you were to put a percentage chance on it, is TGE going to happen? Is there a chance that they decide we're not launching a token? Is that even in the cards at all? Like, scale 1 to 100, 100 being yes, it's absolutely going to happen. What percentage would you say that there is going to be a token launch, let's say in 2026?
So look, there is never once, not one moment in the year that I've been at OpenSea has anybody questioned whether or not are we going to have a token. And so I really can't say anything other than that. This is not my decision. And so, look, if it was completely my decision, I would tell you 100% certainty the foundation will launch its token, and it will launch it at a time when it can be really made successful. It's not my decision to make. It's the foundation's decision as to how, if, when to launch the token. And Devin is able to provide feedback to them. I'm able to provide feedback to them. And so, yeah, all I can say at this moment is that there is full 100% intention by the foundation to launch this token. There are a number of people at the foundation that deeply believe in the ability to do this and the ability to do it successfully, but that is also dependent on a number of factors. And some of those factors, relate to watching what OpenSea is doing and the traction that OpenSea is getting with its own solutions and products, and the way that the token can be integrated into that ecosystem, some of which is market related. And I know that people don't necessarily like the answer. It almost feels like a cop-out to say, market conditions, but the reality is the market is not where ideally you would want it for a token to be released under these circumstances. And I'll also say this: not everybody on crypto Twitter is privy to all of the data and information and that need to go into a decision like that. And so I can't share that information. I'm not legally allowed to share a lot of that information, but I will simply say that OpenSea's token is not just like a pump.fun token launch where, you type the name of the ticker and the supply and you click enter. There are huge factors that go into how this token actually gets built, how it gets distributed, what the long-term sustainable strategy is for making it part of an ecosystem of a company that is at the scale and has the ambitions of a company like OpenSea to be associated with that brand. And so I will simply note that, to the point that you made, there are a lot of extremely intelligent, hardworking, capable people that wake up every single day to build OpenSea. And so, you mentioned, Devin and Chris Mattern and, Steve, and I will tell you that the people at the foundation are, equally capable and reputable. And when those people all look at a set of data points and information and make a determination that they believe it's in the best interest, not, by the way, just for OpenSea, but in the best interest of the community, because the other scenario is, okay, well, foundation launches the token, they get to keep their promise. And then all of a sudden the token chart looks just like 99% of other token charts, which is, goes up, up, up. And then all of a sudden it goes down and down and down and down and down and down and down. And then you have a whole nother set of community sentiment problems where everybody's complaining, saying like, hey, can devs do something? Like, what are you going to do to make token price go up? And at the end of the day, sometimes, you're a little bit damned if you do, damned if you don't. But the decision was made that if we aren't extremely confident that not only can the foundation launch its token, but that we can make that successful, not just in the immediate term and like the days afterwards, but for years to come after that, that it was better to delay. And I have to say that when you get enough really smart, capable, intelligent people in a room that are making points based on the data they have access to, and most of them come to that conclusion, it's hard to argue the point. At that point, it shifts from, okay, well, if that's what's happening, then how do we do right by the community? How do we communicate this effectively? And, the other thing that I'll just note, this just happened last week. Like, we had a event scheduled for March 30th. And I even went on interviews, as recently as like 2 weeks ago, where I was recorded saying like, man, wait until March 30th. Do we have some things to share with you guys? And we were planning on sharing a lot of really awesome stuff at that event. And by the way, we had scripts written for that event. We had all the slides, we had all the animations, we had all the marketing around it. We had met with our PR firm about, who we were going to give exclusive interviews to, preempt some of that content. We were recording. I mean, I go on and on and on. There has been months and months of preparation that have gone into the foundation's TGE and making this announcement. And literally 2 weeks ago, I was spending 60, 70 hours a week working on this. Like this was our project. We had every intention that the token was being launched. And there was some really exciting, very interesting mechanics. And I can't get into the details because we're not ready to share them now. But now we're postponing that event. And I hope that everybody understands that when the decision was made to postpone this TGE, we spent a few days figuring out how to best communicate this and how to try to do it in a way where we can start to rebuild trust and credibility with the community. But then we did just come out and do it. And we came out and said what Devin said in his message yesterday. It's not fun to do this. I would always prefer that we know exactly what our plan is. We know what our timeline is, and then we execute against that plan and it all goes well. And then everybody, achieves what they want to out of it. It hasn't played out exactly like that related to this aspect of what we are building. And all I can say is that, doing some of the things in the way that we did, saying, look, there is no way to delay TGE and continue a rewards program. And so we're basically canceling it. We're done. No more waves. Being able to say that, look, from when we said it's happening in Q1, we gave you information that we believed at the time you could rely on. It turns out that you couldn't. And so if you participated on OpenSea and traded on our platform in any of the waves after we made that announcement for Q1, which covers really the last 4.5 months or so, but the last 4 waves of the program, then we're going to give you an optional ability to get all of your fees back. And combined with what you got out of your treasure chests, you're going to probably, in most cases, even be plus EV on the trading you did on OpenSea. And by the way, you got to basically trade for free during that entire time frame. And making sure people understand that if they do keep their treasures, or if they have treasures from previous waves, that they are going to be honored, that the foundation is going to still meaningfully consider those at TGE. And then most importantly, to say, look, we are going to be releasing these products into market that we've put our blood, sweat, and tears into, tens of thousands of hours into building and onboarding and collecting feedback, things that we believe will move our entire space forward in a meaningful way. And we're going to drop the fees down to 0% because we want you, even if you're frustrated with OpenSea, even if your mindset is, fuck those guys. They said they were going to TGE and then they didn't in the time frame that they said they would. We still want you to go and try the mobile app. We still want you to go and try the Perps product, because we really believe that we've created things that are better than anything else that exists out there, and are going to hopefully be the premise for millions of new people to be onboarded into the space that we know and love and participate in every single day. And I know it's not perfect. I know that there are maybe other things that I've seen people suggesting on the timeline that maybe we could have done differently or structured differently, but these were the decisions that were made. And, in this optional fee refund, we're putting close to $12 million into a pool to, refund back to users. That is not an insignificant amount of money, no matter how you slice it. And I am very respectful and actually kind of proud of, Devin and the company to be in a situation where we say, you know what, we didn't live up to our end of the bargain. We said that we were going to TGE in this time frame, and then we're making the decision to push it out. And the people that relied on that information, we need to give them an opportunity to say, either I want to hold on to my treasures and I believe in what they're doing and what they're building, and I want to participate in TGE when it comes, or you know what, let's go back in time and kind of give you an opportunity to, spend your fees differently or invest differently. And so that's where we're at.
I think I picked up what you're laying down there as to the why refunding fees from waves 3 through 6 and not 1 to 2. But it was one of the most common questions I saw yesterday after this announcement was why not refunding, or why not give the options for those that were in wave 1 and 2 to also get refunds? Do you mind? Are you able to answer that directly? Why exclude waves 1 and 2 from the optional?
The decision that was made very simply was based on exactly what I just said, which is that we had never given a time frame for TGE until we did. And the moment that we did, that was the line in the sand as far as, many at OpenSea are concerned, that's the promise that was broken. That's the commitment that was broken. And so when we said it's going to happen in this particular time frame, we gave people information that we believe that they should have been able to rely upon. Turns out that we made a different decision. That's on the foundation. That's on, not the community to have that decision get made on their behalf. And so anybody that relied on that information and might have traded on OpenSea as a result, or, participated in our rewards program as a result, those are the people that we feel we owe it to give this option back to. And as I said, it is not an insignificant amount. We're talking about more than $10 million that is potentially going to go back to the community right off of our balance sheet at OpenSea. And legally, that is not something that, the company had to do. It's a major step that's being taken, obviously not maybe getting us the entire way based on a lot of the feedback that we've seen on the timeline, but a step in the right direction to rebuild trust with a community that, whether people want to believe it or not, does deeply matter to me, to Devin, to everybody that works at OpenSea, to our business, to the future of our company. And look, it's not lost on me. Look, I run marketing for OpenSea. This is a difficult foundation to market on top of right now. When you have all of crypto Twitter, frustrated and angry and disappointed, it is very hard to then make announcements about products or partnerships or mints or drops or any number of other things without this being, a cloud above it. And it's not my favorite thing to make, my job at OpenSea significantly harder. I want people to be able to trust in what we share with them when we share it with them. I think one thing that we learned from this, and a lot of people say, well, why aren't you giving a new date? Why isn't the foundation announcing a new date? Well, what the foundation is learning from this experience is that announcing a date and recognizing that we weren't fully lined up to be able to execute on it, that really wasn't a very good decision. And now we're having to kind of eat our vegetables as a result of that. They have an idea of when they would like to be able to do this, but they're not going to share it externally until they are 110% certain that that is going to happen and they're going to execute on it. And candidly, I agree with that decision. I don't ever want the foundation to share a date or a time frame again unless, by hell or high water, it's going to happen, because you can't do this over and over again. It's going to take us a little bit of time to rebuild trust and maybe credibility with the space. I hope that we can. I believe in what is being built and created, and I think people are going to genuinely love the products that we're building. And we have to hope that people might be disappointed or upset or even angry right now, but over time, hopefully they give us the opportunity to rebuild that trust and credibility with them.
It's fair. Couple more follow-ups on that. And then if there are any additional questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. We might have time to open up the stage as well. We just, again, disagree. You can, welcome to disagree. Just would ask you to do so without being disagreeable and be respectful, keep it professional. A good question from Stas that I hadn't thought of, but Stas asks, will we be able to refund any specific waves, like only wave 4 or wave 4 and 6, but not 5? Or is it all or nothing? Do they have to choose the entire refund of waves 3 through 6, or could they choose a single wave to refund?
That's a really good question. I'm not prepared to answer it yet. Okay. That's something that, look, I mentioned that these decisions happened last week. We literally have to meet with our engineering team to figure out how to build the system that will support these refunds. What I can say is that we need the current wave to finish, which will finish up in a couple of weeks. We then need to actually build the front end system and the contracts to enable these refunds. And it probably will happen sometime in the mid to late April timeframe, if I were taking a guess right now based on some early discussions that we've had. But we have not yet gotten into the details around things like what you're asking right now. If that's something the community would really like to see, I'd love to hear that. Part of me, I guess, in the back of my mind thinks like, either you really believe in OpenSea and the, TGE that the foundation is, building upon, and you'd kind of want to keep your treasures, or maybe you're, really angry and pissed off and you just want to wash your hands of it. And maybe it's more of a binary decision. But if there are people that say, you know what, I'm a little upset and I'd like a little bit of my, funds and fees back, but I'd like to, hedge my bets and keep a couple of these off to the side, I could see the argument for it. And I suppose we'll have to talk to some members of the community, talk internally, figure out how we structure it. And like I said, if there's enough people that really would like to see something like that, I would love to hear it. And so please, if that's something that you would like OpenSea to enable, post it, send me a DM, throw it in the Discord, and any feedback that you have, we do read all of the messages, even if we don't respond back to every single one.
Quick question on this current wave, then the current reward wave. Will there be other voyages in this wave, or anytime in the future prior to TGE, or this, once the season's done, it's nothing else until TGE?
So what I can say is this: there's going to be no more waves as part of our Treasure Chest Rewards program. That's ending on March 30th. We are then going to enter into a 60-day period of 0% fees, and there will be no reward system in a traditional sense sitting behind the product. The product will speak for itself, and the incentive to use the product is that it's cheaper to use than anything else on market, and simultaneously we believe better than anything else on market, and we would like people to come in and experience it. As Devin shared in his message, it is not lost on us that when you remove the treasure chest rewards program and you remove the 50% of fees being put into a prize pool that get redistributed, that effectively means that the fees are higher without the rewards program. And we are going to need to make some changes and put a system in place that will make our fee structure competitive at OpenSea after we get through this 0% fee period. And so we have a lot of discussions going on right now about exactly how to accomplish that. And I think that the likely outcome is you will see a system put into place where people that make OpenSea their home for trading, people that use the app consistently to trade different types of assets on chain, will effectively be able to get their fee rate down to a much more competitive level than those that might use it very casually from time to time. And again, we're not prepared to share exactly what that's going to look like, but we've set a time frame for ourselves, which is that 2.5 months from now, we have to be ready with that, because if we're not, it's not lost on us that we can't go live with our existing fee structure with no rewards program, no information about an upcoming TGE, and expect people to necessarily meaningfully use it, even if it is a better product, because the fee structure just simply wouldn't be competitive with a number of other platforms and solutions that are out in market.
Makes sense. I won't pry on specific use cases for the token. I get that you're wanting to launch the thing, and some of that might be some secret sauce on what the token will be used for and whatnot. Are you able to speak to like goals of the token? Like what is there an overarching goal behind this? What leads to a successful token other than number go up?
Yeah. I have to be a little careful in the way that
Understood.
I talk about this, in the sense that I can't share more than I'm allowed to share. And I wish that I could. Like, I wish I could show you all the presentation that was planned for March 30th. And I think you'd all be really impressed with what the foundation has been cooking. But what I'll say is this. The intention has never been for C to be a meme coin, to just be launched and forgotten, and the entire utility of the token to be what you can sell it for at any given moment. The intention has always been for it to be a meaningful part of OpenSea's platform ecosystem, and for there to be reasons to hold it and to use it. And that's something that has always been taken very seriously and very deeply in all of the planning for the token on the foundation side, as well as integrating the token in on the OpenSea Lab side. And so I am excited about when C comes, whenever that is, what it will enable for OpenSea as a company and as a business, and for me as a marketer. And I think the market will really appreciate the really interesting ways that we have thought through the implementation of C on the foundation side and on the Labs Co side. That's all I think I'm comfortable saying at this point. Fair. Otherwise, I risk probably crossing into territory where I'm going to have a
totally get it. No, I totally get it.
Calendar later.
Appreciate the answer. Appreciate you being here, and I totally understand. Totally get it. I still had to ask one more question, then we'll get to these hands. Appreciate Loki. We'll go Loki, Idiot, and Zards on deck. But before we go to the hands, most main reason behind this delay, market conditions. The question is, if market conditions are the reason for delaying, what is the catalyst that OpenSea is requiring for a token to be, or the foundation's requiring for the token launch to be successful? That's only possible with improved market conditions. Are you looking at it's somehow pegged or defined by the direction of Bitcoin? Is it are market conditions less about token value and trending market, and more about crypto's overall lack of daily active users? Anything you could speak to on like what is a good market or good market conditions? More about price of Bitcoin or alts or daily active users? How do you what can you speak to on that front?
I would say that the discussions that have been had over the last week really focused on three major pillars. One of which is market conditions, which is very simply, this is not a great time to launch a token with the tokenomic structure of an OpenSea. And so, people have to recognize that, OpenSea's been around for 7 years. OpenSea has seen more than $40 billion of volume flow through the platform, millions and millions of wallets. And this is not just some random token that can be launched and, regardless of, where the FDV ends up, be viewed as wildly successful by the broader community. And so the market conditions do play into this, but it's less from the perspective of like, hey, we really want the token to be as highly priced as possible, when the thing launches. That's not what the foundation's thinking about. The foundation is thinking about, okay, well, if the token launches and we're distributing X% of supply at launch of this token, and it's getting distributed in these ways to these types of users under these circumstances, is it going to be viewed as successful by the market and the community based on their expectations of what they need the token to look like and what they're expecting to receive? And at the end of the day, the market conditions are one aspect of this. The second aspect of it is something that I alluded to earlier, which is that our products, very simply, have not been released into market in the time frame that we wanted them to, and been really adopted in the way that we wanted them to in a pre-TGE sense. And that's something that we believe at OpenSea. It's of course up to the foundation how they want to take that into account or not. But I think the foundation does believe that if we have major products that are major catalysts for our business in market, and that they're receiving a lot of positive attention from the market, that is broadly a good thing for the token. And then the last thing would be adoption of those products. And right now we have a lot of volume that's happening in token trading on OpenSea. But we do ask ourselves, how organic is that volume? Are they using OpenSea because they love the product, or are they using OpenSea because they want to, farm the rewards program, or because they want treasures, or because they're expecting TGE to come? And we think we have these catalyst moments where we have these products that we're really genuinely proud of and excited about, that we think are better than anything else that has ever existed before them for what it is that they are accomplishing. We want to get those into market. And then we want to see, are people willing to use those products, even if they're not being heavily incentivized to do so? And that is a really powerful foundation to build a business on top of. And of course, to have major moments like have the foundation decide to launch its token on top of and use it as an accelerant. And so I think all in all, the decision was made that it would be better for launching a token. And by the way, not just better for OpenSea, but better for the community, if OpenSea can get these incredible products to market, if we can drive a lot of people into them and generate adoption of those products, and then hopefully also simultaneously end up in a position where the market conditions are more conducive to a successful launch, and be in a position where we look back and say, it was probably better that we held off. There's no specific catalyst. It's not that we need this number of users in the mobile app, or we need Bitcoin to be at this price. It's something that the foundation will continue to measure and monitor against, combined with a number of other factors. And when they're confident that they can do this in a successful and sustainable way, then I am certain that they will make the decision to do so and announce all the details.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Do you have time for a few more questions? I know we're running up against 10.
I'm here as long as you'd like me to be.
I appreciate you.
We can get through absolutely anybody that's raising their hand. I'm in no rush.
Greatly appreciate it. Just a reminder, and I'm looking at the stage, most known entities, couple new connections today, but so I will reiterate, ask whatever questions you like, just please do so in a respectful manner. We can disagree, but do so without being disagreeable. We're going to start with Loki. Loki, GM, appreciate you being up here today. Question for Adam.
Hey, GM, Adam, GM, thanks, Chris. Hey, I'm very surprised. Like you found a very, very strong adversary. I couldn't think one day we could find anyone able to talk more than you. It's been like an hour and a half. Like, wow, congrats. No, I mean, you asked already all the good questions, and some of them Adam cannot answer. But I think what I got today is two important things. Like first, it seems like the reason of this delay, it's you're not ready with the app yet, more than the market condition. I see a lot of critics regarding you guys don't have to wait for better market condition, blah blah blah. So I think this is a good reason that makes sense, that people can understand and accept. And the other thing is something I think is the first time I hear coming from OpenSea, that you are not launching just a meme coin, just a random token. There are plans and you have a plan to achieve something great that we still don't know. We can have a hint. Probably will be linked to your, of course, to the new app. So that's very positive for everyone that's expecting. It's waiting for the token. So I guess my only question is, uh, do you think we are going to see a list this year? I mean, is in the cards.
So look, I'm not in any position to share timing. And in fact, even if I wanted to, I couldn't, because I don't have any timing indication right now from the foundation. What I will say, related to, the comments you made, I think, the way that Devin positioned this, he was probably a little damned if he did, damned if he didn't. I think if Devin had, in hindsight, put his message out and shared more about, the product delays and information, I think people would have been like, well, you had a year and a half to build those products. And, why didn't you build them faster and release them faster? And I think that there was probably no reason that could have been given where the reaction from the market would have been like, oh, yeah, you know what, we get it. The recognition is, and the reality, it's a combination of all of the above. And so on that side, it is what it is, but it is definitely a number of different factors that went into this decision. It wasn't like people got in a room and were like, all right, well, price of, ETH and Bitcoin is shit right now, so I guess we should delay this thing. Like there was, I don't know, 20 hours of discussion across, conference room tables about, the pros and cons and what could be done. And if there were, different options, if we, could share a new time frame, that there was all sorts of stuff that was going back and forth. And this is the path that was decided to be taken. And like I said, I know the foundation will share a new time frame when it is confident that it can execute on that time frame. And look, of course they have in mind, what they think might be good new time frames for this, but we're just not at a point where they're ready to share it, and not even close to the point where they would be ready to commit to it, to a point where it might not change again. And I think that, as I said earlier, I personally, my desire is that the foundation should never share another time frame unless they are extremely confident that they are going to achieve it. And I would actually prefer that they don't do that far in advance. I don't really want the foundation personally to say, hey, it's going to be here in 5.5 months. Like, I would much rather that we just build behind the scenes, get it ready, and then at the point that it's ready to launch and we're ready to do it, then we are able to do it over a much shorter time frame. Again, that's not my decision. And so I can give my feedback, I can share my advice, but right now, I think conceptually everybody understands that this situation that we ended up in over the last 24 hours is really fucking painful. And nobody wants this, and nobody wants to deal with this. And this is a really difficult place to put OpenSea, to put me, to put Devin, to put Chris, to, market on top of. And this is just a shitty situation that we don't want to be in. And so let's learn from it and not do that to ourselves again. And as far as the token being more than a meme coin, I have personally said that in a number of my X articles, but I don't expect everybody to remember everything I wrote, 9 months ago. But without question, there is no intention to just launch C as a meme coin where, the only utility of the token is to look at the price and decide whether you think you can sell it for more or less the next day. Like that's not a value add to OpenSea's ecosystem. And if OpenSea wanted to do that, it would have and could have done that years ago to, probably a bunch of fanfare, made investors a bunch of money, and then you'd have a token today sitting at basically some worthless amount that it would be impossible to resurrect it from, and you'd lose the opportunity to actually have a token that represents a meaningful component and value of an ecosystem. And so I'm quite happy and excited that OpenSea did not launch a token before I came on board and before they were ready to design it in such a way that it could really have an impact to the actual lab side of the business outside of what the foundation wants to do. But there's a lot of coordination and a lot of very interesting innovation happening behind the scenes related to this token. And I really wish I could share it with you. Like, I was so excited to have that presentation happen on March 30th. And it will still happen. I really believe that. I'm so excited for when all that can be shared with the community. And when it does, I think a lot of people will look back and say, wow, like those guys were really planning something. But that's all I can say for the moment.
No, good question, Loki. And I agree. I'm glad they did. I know a lot of people said you should have launched this during the bull or during the mania. The token would be zero today, if so, most likely.
Right.
Like it would have ran its course, and people would have dumped the token. They might have made a bag, and then where is OpenSea today? You can launch a token once. Like you got really, quite frankly, one shot at this, and to have
exactly
what you're building, the products you're building, to leverage it as a tool, as a product, not just a liquidity event for historical users. I'm a historical user. I love a big airdrop of C token, but looking at it from the business standpoint,
me too.
Yeah, like it's just not. I want to see it also sustain. I want to see it long term. I do believe it's the best for the crypto natives, for the fans of us that are, or those of us that are fans of digital collectibles and NFTs. Like, do NFTs need OpenSea to be successful to be relevancy long term? Maybe not, but it sure helps to have a leader in the space that is making these efforts to actually make it easier for new users to come in and use the product and start collecting and onboard in this space. So I'm glad that it's not hit the market yet, and you're dotting your I's, crossing your T's to make sure everything is as optimal as possible when it comes to time.
I'll say one quick thing on that point. I know that a lot of people view us as an NFT marketplace, and I see a lot of comments like OpenSea should just double down on NFTs and stop with all this stuff with the tokens and perps and everything else that's going on, and they should just focus on NFTs. I think what people don't recognize is that the way that we are able to continue to invest in amazing things for NFTs and to be able to support artists and creators and digital assets and digital ownership is largely by expanding the horizons of our business and being able to drive the revenues that we are using there into these other things. And so, you look at, just even the last few months, we had our entire team out at Marfa, and we did, almost 24 video interviews with artists on the space to give them visibility on our channels and to really elevate the work that they're doing. We were out at the Node Foundation event, and we did interviews with Matt and John, and with Eric Snowfro, and with Beeple. We went out to Art Basel, and we were a big part of 010, and really bringing digital art and digital ownership out to the masses in the art space. And we are building into our marketplace platform. We are adding to Creator Studio, and we're doing all of this. And by the way, not to mention the very first native app to trade NFTs on your iPhone, which is just going to be a delightful experience. We care deeply about the foundations of where OpenSea came from. Like, I am here largely because of my passion for NFTs and digital ownership and art and collectibles. And, people see, obviously me, buying things and talking about things. And, even when it comes to like statues behind me or Pokemon cards, like it's just ingrained in me that I care about this stuff. But expanding our business beyond that is such an important thing that we need to do to continue to meaningfully grow and support it. And having a mobile app that maybe you have millions of people coming into primarily to do token trading or perps or prediction markets or anything else, but then having pop-ups for when there's, mints from amazing artists and, tokenized Pokemon cards and everything else. Like, this is all part of one big ecosystem. And I think that the way that OpenSea is viewing it is the right way. And I think we're going to be able to make an impact at scale. But yeah, that's where we're at.
I didn't have a chance to go to those other events. I was at Art Basel Miami, and I don't know if 010 would have went off and been as big of an impact for NFTs and the digital art space as it was if it wasn't for OpenSea's support of that. And much respect. I do think, is there a world where digital collectibles and NFTs continue to succeed without OpenSea? Yeah, possibly, but it's a heck of a lot easier when you have a big player like OpenSea that's supporting creators, supporting the artists, and the collectors. I've said many times on the show, I don't know if it ever got back to you or not, but with some of the stuff that the biz dev team has done recently with some of the allow list and OpenSea users, you get access to this drop or you get this X copy. Like, it's bringing back like the heyday of NFT vibes. Like, OpenSea, quite frankly, is doing more for NFT collectors and holders than most of the NFT PFP collections are doing lately. And they don't have to do that. Like, is it creating tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of magical internet money for those holders? No, but nothing is today. Like the effort, the intent of aligning with the holders and doing good for the creators, the artists, the collectors, it's been very evident. And we hadn't seen that previously, not just from OpenSea, not from any other NFT marketplace, from my perspective. And I'd love to see more of that. And again, why I'm rooting for this to be a successful sea drop, not just a liquidity event for myself and everyone else who might have been a user of the platform. Let's go. An idiot. I appreciate your patience on stage. I don't see the hand anymore, but X has been a little finicky. If you'd like to get in here with a question, Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. I'll try to be brief out of respect for anybody else that might have questions. Actually, more of a comment than a question. I hear you addressing the negative feedback from X a lot. I think there's two big mistakes that maybe more business-oriented people like yourself make in Web3. One is, and you've already obviously identified it, announcing timelines too early. Clearly, you've learned that lesson. The other thing is, I don't think I find often you guys don't know how to interpret. There's a decoding that needs to happen on the feedback from X. And I think you guys, you got to keep in mind that a lot of the negative feedback that you're seeing on X is from kind of two sets of people who are either overly emotional because they're down bad and they were in desperate need of a stimmy, right? Or people who are deliberately being hyperbolic because they get paid off of engagement. So I mean, I don't know exactly how to get around that. I don't know if you guys need someone on your team or just a friend who lives on CT or whatever to kind of help you guys decode that feedback mechanism, because X is a great source of feedback, but there is a necessary decoding process, I would say. And other than that, I mean, I think you guys, I think it was obvious to most people that this TGE was not going to happen. I saw a lot of people speculating, but he said this. I think it was obvious to most people, and I think you guys were kind of playing like a game of chicken with luck, hoping that markets would improve, and they just didn't. And that's the way it goes sometimes. So no frustration. I think the option for the refund is that's great. And yeah, you guys keep killing it. Your product is the best product to buy NFTs on, for sure. I'm on it all the time. I keep the window open all the time. Keep killing it. Thanks, dude.
Really appreciate that feedback. Look, of course I agree with you. I know that some of what happens, there was actually someone about a month ago, and they were ranting like really negatively about something related to OpenSea. And Devin, our CEO, reached out to them via DM, and he's like, would you be willing to chat? Like, I'd love to hear more about your perspective on this. And they actually said, oh, actually, I'm not nearly as negative on this as it appeared on the timeline. I really was just engagement farming, but let me give you some feedback. And, we were laughing about that internally, that sometimes you do have these moments where you have to interpret a little bit about, what people are doing and saying because of that. I would say that I think there's a third group of people, which are people that are just really passionate. I think that there's a lot of people that they wake up every single day and they really do care about the space and blockchain and digital ownership and NFTs. And they really do care about OpenSea because we sit at sort of the epicenter of a lot of the stuff that they care about. And, look, most people in this space are financially motivated. I think we would be kidding ourselves if we thought that, a majority of people are here because they love the art and they love collectibles. And I find myself in the minority a lot of the time because I buy NFTs just because I really like them, or I want to be part of the community, or I dig the art, or I, just want to have the provenance of having this thing in my wallet. And I hope over time that more and more people collect for those reasons other than, purely financial. Those that are here for purely financial reasons, like, I get it. Like, some of the people probably were expecting their stimmy and, they can be disappointed, frustrated. I get it. I empathize with those people. It's not our intention to mislead at any moment. We're always operating with the information that we have at the time. But at the same time, we are running a business. We do need to make sure that we are building our products and releasing our products in a time frame that we believe is going to create sustainable success. And the foundation is also essentially a business in its own right, and needs to make sure that when it launches its token, that it believes that it can do so to fanfare and success and create something that's sustainable beyond the initial launch. And so there's a lot of information that a lot of people don't necessarily have access to at any given moment. And so look, I'm never upset or angry at the feedback that I see on X. It's not lost on me that when people are screenshotting things I said from 9 months ago, they're probably, for the most part, engagement farming or, just trying to jab at me out of frustration. And I don't get angry or upset over that stuff. You learn to sort of build a bit of a thicker skin in positions like this over time. I do read every message, and whether they're engagement farming, whether they're just venting, whether they're passionate and they, really want to share this. And I think to the point that was just made, I have to interpret that sometimes. I have to ask myself, what lens are they really sharing this? And how do people really genuinely feel? And by the way, I'm in a bunch of group chats. I have people that I talk to one-on-one all the time to try to get a sense of, what's the reality sort of on the ground right now related to what we're doing. I want the feedback. And even if the feedback is really negative, we are using that feedback to try to make better decisions.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, I'm not saying that those are the only two groups of people that are critical. There is legitimate criticism. I'm just saying,
Sure.
the stuff that goes the most viral comes from emotional and hyperbolic places. Anyway, thanks again.
No doubt.
Captain, if you need to rotate me down, go ahead. If there's requests, otherwise I'll just aura farm your stage. Thanks again, guys.
Appreciate it. Great. Yeah, great question. Appreciate you asking. And again, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you taking these questions. I know not everyone's going to be happy. There are some questions. We'll get to the rest of the hands here. I saw Zard's. I don't see your hand anymore, but if you did just want to get in here, I said you were up next. I did just want to make sure you see the feedback. There was, getting some multiple in the chat saying, advising me to push back on not including wave 1 and 2. Starting waves and farming implied TGE. It's not coincidental that the waves with the most volume isn't included. I don't know if you want to comment on that. I know you already addressed it. I just wanted to make sure you saw the feedback. I don't know if anything can be done or changed at this point, but probably the most recurring negative comment I've seen today is the, I think, appreciation of the option for a refund, but excluding those waves 1 and 2, at least as far as specific announcements, other than just I'll drop it already. That's just some direct feedback.
Yeah, look, I very much appreciate the feedback, and of course, heard it in Discord when I jumped in for an AMA yesterday. I've read it a few times on the timeline. Look, this is the decision that was made. It's a very significant decision, even in the current state, as I shared. There's more than $10 million that's being committed to refund back to the community. I want to be very clear that the treasures that people have earned, regardless of wave, if they came from, our beta, if they came from waves 1 and 2, or if they came from the ones that were offering this optional refund, they are going to be meaningfully considered by the foundation when the TGE happens. And I will tell you personally, for me, I'm going to be holding my treasures. I'm not going to be taking a fee refund back. And I would be making that decision even if I was not CMO of OpenSea. And so that'll be up to everybody to decide what to do. But I want to be clear that even though we are not offering a optional refund for waves 1 and 2, that doesn't mean that those people are being left out in the cold. It means that, yes, we are telling you that you need to hold on to those treasures a little longer. And I believe that the foundation will meaningfully take them into account when the time comes for TGE.
Very fair. Zard, did you still want to get in here with the question for Adam?
Yeah, if that's okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you. GM, thanks for jumping up.
Perfect. Yeah, so I've got a comment and a question for Adam as well. So the comment, first of all, was that obviously, the token thing sucks. But how many times have we been in the space where we've seen bodies release a token and then it just kind of dumps just because they want to rush it out there? So I think obviously this is long term going to be the best decision. I think that you guys reacted well in the sense of stopping the farming. I think that's a good idea for now. I also think that offering a make good in the fact that you'll offer a refund, and the fact that I think you said there was about 12 million sort of queued up for that. I think that's an awesome job. I think the other thing as well here that maybe some people aren't aware of is just quite like the fielding of questions that you've had on the timeline and also on the Discord. You've had a lot of negativity from people, and I think for anyone having to deal with that, I know it comes with the job. I'm just saying, I think for you to have dealt with some of those comments, you're a braver man than I. I mean, it must be hard. It must be hard. But I think the fact that, going back to your point as well, Adam, where you said about you read every single message, I can actually vouch for that because I've had my criticisms about OpenSea over the years. I mean, I joined you guys in 2021. I've been a huge fan of the platform, and I do feel like it kind of lost its way for a couple of years. But I genuinely think towards the back end of last year, I started to see a real change. And when you put out a tweet saying about, I listened to feedback, I actually put that theory to the test, and I sent you a DM, and you actually replied to it. And I think that, but the most important thing that you can have as a marketplace is the feeling from a creator or a user that they're actually listened to. So I think if people feel that they're being listened to, it's an incredibly important thing. So just want to say kudos to you for that. Now the question that I had, just to sort of sidestep slightly, because I know Chris asked this question about ordinals earlier. With the closing of Magic Eden, obviously there's a whole community, for example, on 8chain that are looking for a new, the new marketplace. And obviously OpenSea is our default and everyone wants to go there. Is there going to be any possibility that there's going to be some better visibility for some of those chains that have essentially been dropped and ignored? Because obviously we'd love to have a new home on OpenSea and really feel like this is the default marketplace for everyone to come to and for a community to really sort of thrive.
Yeah. So, look, we support 25 chains on OpenSea. We support thousands and thousands of projects. Obviously, every project wants to be up on the homepage. Everybody wants to be featured and talked about and have their IP incorporated into videos. And so there is no way that we can solve that problem for everybody. What we can do is meaningfully consider any projects or blockchains that are really doing a lot of interesting things and generating attention. And then we can help to hopefully amplify that if we think that there's something to do there. We have an entire business development organization that sits underneath marketing at OpenSea that works with hundreds of projects and blockchains and partners at any given time and tries to find ways that we can work together to make 1 + 1 = 3 and to try to deliver value to the community, value to OpenSea users, value to their users, visibility through things that we're doing. And then, hopefully you've seen, and many have seen over the last 6 months or so, that we've put a huge amount of investment and energy into our creative content. And so you see these videos that we're putting out with, have dozens of different IP, interacting and, showcasing announcements and things like that. And we're trying to rotate new things in and out of those to provide that level of visibility. It's very important to me that OpenSea consistently feels culturally aligned and relevant with those that are building and actively doing interesting and meaningful things inside of our space. And so I don't remember our DM conversation one-on-one exactly, but I think I made an introduction to our business development org. And I would say that the best path is to start having discussions with them and get them excited about what you all are building, and then figure out from there if there's ways that we might be able to support or assist in any way that we can. And as far as specific chains go, look, that I agree with completely. You can go to OpenSea right now and you can sort of sort your homepage by chain, but when there's 25 different chains and most people are just viewing the entire whole, then everything on every chain is kind of competing with everything from every chain. And if you want something on 8chain to trend, then it's going to be competing with things from Base and ETH mainnet and Abstract and Solana and everything else. And so it's a matter of how do we make sure that we're partnering at the chain level, at the project level, and doing so in a way that's actually scalable and where we can support in a bi-directional way. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think definitely that ability to sort of customize your homepage so it could just be chain specific. I think that is a huge potential for the future. I think because then you can sort of work everything around it. Obviously, include some more stats in there. I think would be really cool as well. And as a huge fan of like the other side as well, I'm really excited to see how that's going to sort of filter in more to OpenSea too, because I think even from the token level, there's a lot of potential to sort of really expand the fun of a token launch as well into something like the metaverse. So I think, something like the other side, for example, or even what Pudgies are doing, it's definitely worth exploring. But yeah, no, thank you so much for your time, Adam. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, look, appreciate you. And I really encourage you, go to the homepage on OpenSea and just click on the 8chain logo in the top middle. And you're going to end up at OpenSea.io/discover-chain 8chain. That is a copy paste link that anybody could treat as a homepage for 8chain. And that page has its own projects to discover. It has its own tokens to discover. It has its own featured section. It has its own trending. And that's something that also is making its way into the mobile experience. Obviously, we need to do a better job of working with each individual chain to keep that information exciting and up to date, and to be partnering with the right new things that are going on. And that's no insignificant effort when you have 25 different chains to be doing that with simultaneously. And so curation of the site is a factor, but I have a member of my team that is responsible for that. She is responsible for curation as one of her, pillars of her role as she wakes up every day on OpenSea. And it's something that if you have feedback on how we could do a better job, I would be all ears.
Awesome. And I'd say the feedback across the board, like you may not get the answer you're looking for, but they're listening, they're taking in the feedback, and they're showing up. They're here. Like there's a lot of other, I wasn't going to name names, but Pump Fund's been teasing a token, promised a token forever. I don't see their leadership team coming on spaces and fielding tough questions. Like just at least hearing the feedback, giving answers that may not be what everyone wants to hear, but greatly respect, showing up, taking it head on. And speaking of taking it head on, Jesus, question for Adam. If you're still with us, Jesus.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Bro, you guys have covered so much today and answered so much stuff. Adam, thanks for doing that. I've tested everything that OpenSea's put out. I was OS2 tester. Tested the new website we have now. I'm testing the wallet. Zach and the team are just absolutely smashing it. I mean, as soon as there is somebody reporting a problem, like I don't know what he's doing, but it's like immediately fixed. The one problem I had, I logged into my wallet. It showed my balance as like $1 billion one day. And I was like, hey, can we please keep this error and make it like into full effect? That was probably one of the wildest things that's happened, but he quickly, got that fixed. But other than that, for people that don't think the team is actually working, I know hands-on that, because I knew Chris and these guys from the floor when it was the floor app. So, and then seeing them join OpenSea. And then I was like happy and sad when I seen Adam join OpenSea, because like Adam was my NFT guru. He would post a project and then all of a sudden I was like, I'd buy it. And it was like, it was wild. I had some fun times. Superman was the last one, I think. But either way, like, I'm happy with the way things are going. Does it suck we don't get a TGE? Yes. One of the questions that somebody had asked me, or it was a comment that was made last night, when we do get to the point of the redemption and we decide to redeem our treasures, are these treasures, there's a couple kind of sides of this question. He was suggesting, and this is full degen mode, he was suggesting have the treasures redeemable as an NFT, and then you can trade the treasures on OpenSea, but also buy other people's treasures at maybe even a discounted price and stack even more treasures that are meaningful towards TGE. If we don't go that route, if our fees are past a certain dollar amount, is there going to be any like tax forms and things like that we have to do to recover these fees?
So great questions. I saw that suggestion online. That is something actually we debated and discussed at the very entrance of this program 6-7 months ago. There are a variety of reasons we probably don't have time to get into today why we decided not to go that direction. But I will say it's extremely interesting and intriguing, and pretty well aligned with sort of our ethos of digital ownership. And at any rate, I don't think it's likely we will implement that, but I think it's an extremely fun and interesting suggestion, and something that I will put a little more thought into under our sort of new set of circumstances. As far as the refunds go, they are being treated as refunds of fees already paid, and so there should be no tax implications as a result. That's something that, of course, we're going to confirm with our finance team and the way that this all gets rolled out. I mentioned details soon, but as of right now, the information that I have is that no, there should not be implications on that side.
Okay, cool. Well, the same guy who made that one comment just asked the question in the abstract chat, but I'll let Captain ask that.
Sure.
You see it?
What's your level in Pokemon Go? Important question.
I've been playing Pokemon Go since the day it came out. I only play maybe 5 minutes a day now. And so it's more like, I'm in line at Starbucks and I'll, catch my Pokemon for the day. But I will note two things. So one is I own every Pokemon. And so I have all 940 of the released Pokemon in Pokemon Go. And I do keep up with that. And for anybody that plays, that's a feat that probably would take thousands of hours and travel all around the world at this point to accomplish. And so I remain proud of that. And years ago, many years ago, 6-7 years ago, when I had a lot more time on my hands and I was in my semi-retired state, I decided I wanted to get world-class good at the PvP that exists in Pokemon Go. And I managed to. I actually got up to rank 21 in the world on the global leaderboard out of millions and millions of players. And I received a shiny Luchador Pikachu out of it that is one of the most rare in the game that is something that I'm still quite excited and proud to hold in my account. So yeah, that's Pokemon's one of my only real vices. And now that my kids are really into it, like my 6-year-old loves Pokemon Go. Like he'll ask me at like 6-7 o'clock at night, after I finish up, work for that day. And he'll be like, can we go in the car and like, go spin a bunch of Pokestops? I'm out of Pokeballs and like, I need to catch this. And it's really fun to see your kids get into the stuff that you're into. And, he's ripping packs now and, we get to do that together. And so very rewarding for me to be able to do that, especially at the end of a difficult day.
A lot of love on the background, a lot of love on the Pokemon grinding from Zane, and that question came from Hans. Hans, a legend over there, longtime friend of the show here. Grace, we're going to go to you next, but since I invoked Hans's name, appreciate the Pingu tip over there on Abstract. Also, overdue. Really appreciate. I got gifted a couple of genuine undead recently. This is not a. Please don't. You don't. No need to gift me NFTs whatsoever. But I at least wanted to shout out Hans for a couple of fire genuine undead. My first two. Even so went as far as match me with a space ape here in the genuine undead world. And yeah, just greatly appreciate you. Greatly appreciate you tuning in every day. And thank you very much for the generosity. You are a legend. Grace, GM, did you still have a question for Adam?
Yes. First, I would like to make a comment. Yeah, I pinned my article in on the top. So I realized that for the OpenSea's Voyage campaign, there's a lot of new users. Of some people, they are first time buyers. They never buy NFT before, and they really love the platform because it's so easy to use, and they trade the NFT their first time. So they really are the new blood of the the NFT market. So in my article, I also state NFT plays the critical, actually a milestone in crypto, the history of crypto, because the first time we owning digital arts. So also being a marketplace for NFT, I also think OpenSea plays as a milestone in history of crypto as well, because the golden time we all remember. Yeah, so let's make the NFT great again. That's mainly my research paper about NFT and OpenSea, because I think these two together place a milestone in the history of crypto. And anyway, I do have a quick question. A question is, I noticed in Cato, is there any incentive for writing articles? I noticed the OpenSea's name in Cato, but I'm not so sure. That's why I'm asking. So, is there any incentive for the writers to post articles about OpenSea? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have a formal relationship with Kaido. And so they do have a dashboard where you can see sentiment and how many people are posting. But OpenSea has never suggested that there are any incentives or reasons to try to escalate on those leaderboards or anything along those lines. And so it's something that, actually at one point, a lot of people were pushing me to do. We decided against it because I actually think that to some extent, those programs have the ability to incentivize a lot of very inorganic engagement. I would love to find ways to create organic incentives for people to write about OpenSea and to talk about what we're doing and to share with their friends. And we have some ideas there related to referrals and the like that you'll likely see in the coming months. Again, not to say anything negative about Kaido. In fact, I look at those dashboards and leaderboards all the time, and I even pay attention to like my yaps and things like that. And so I just think that for us, as I mentioned earlier, one of the most important metrics for us moving forward is going to be making sure that people are using the product because they love the product and because they organically believe that it's the best product in the market to do their trading and to interact on chain. And we are always trying to make sure that if we are going to build incentives, that we do it in a way that is encouraging real users and real people to engage, and not just, bots or farmers and people that might create accounts on Twitter for the hope of an airdrop and the like. So anyway, that's my current stance on it. Love the team over there. Think it's an interesting product, but no plans at this moment.
Excited to hear what you might.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you for answering the questions. Again, I want to say thank you for making this a great platform and being knowing a lot of new users. They really love it. It's wonderful. Yeah, because not only trading NFT and the tokens, so it's a full. I think it's a fully functional platform, and we love it. We'll support it, and again, it plays a important milestone in the history of crypto, because we can trade digital arts, and we let's work together to make the NFT great again. And being a Chinese community users or collectors, we love to collaborate with OpenSea and with Captain. Okay, so let's work together. We have a lot of buyers too, so we work together to make the NFT great again. That's my point. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today, Grace. Great to connect, and appreciate the questions, comments. Adam, you got time for one more from Iron Shag, and then we'll get you out of here. Appreciate you've been taking far longer of your time today than we anticipated.
This is important. I'm here as long as you'd like me, so sure.
Greatly appreciate it. Iron Shag, question for Adam?
Yeah, I'll be as brief as possible to respect your time. Apologies if it's a little noisy. My 3D printer's ripping in the background, so
all good.
And apologies if this has been asked and answered, but I've been kind of in and out. This is on my laptop. I don't have it up on my phone. I guess my biggest question is, so I've been inactive in Web3 for about a year or so, and I just came back and about 6 days ago, and to make a comment, first thing I did was jump on OpenSea, and I gotta commend you for, I've been away from the app for a while, or away from the platform for a while, and I come back and I can see the differences that have been made, the things that have been made since. And I guess being away from it and coming back, it's like you really see the differences and how much better it is. And so flowers to that, it's appreciative that it keeps getting better and better. But to my question, should we again, I'm just coming back, so I'm just finding out about the treasures and the waves and all this stuff. So should we continue claiming those chests, or should we just let that go now, or what are we looking at there? Should I bother to go through that process or not? Because I haven't done it before. I don't even really know a whole lot about it. I'm just learning. The space has been quite helpful for learning a lot about it, but where do I take that from there?
First of all, wow, what an interesting situation. I would love to talk with you one-on-one as somebody that took an entire year off and then came back to a completely different platform. And I would love to hear the feedback about what you liked, what you didn't like, how you feel that it's improved. And so that's just a really interesting customer situation that we don't run across nearly as often. Thank you for the comments. I'm glad to hear that you feel the platform has improved. As far as the, sort of rewards program and, I guess I'll call it preparation for the foundation's TGE, I will reiterate something that we've said over and over again, but it seems that no matter how many times I say it, everybody still wants to hear it. historical volume and historical activity have always been considered separate from rewards activity from the perspective of the foundation. And so for somebody like yourself, you probably didn't really engage with our rewards programs over the course of the last year. That doesn't mean that if you were a meaningful participant on OpenSea for the years before that, that your, participation and volume and engagement during that period won't be considered by the foundation when it comes time to allocate token at TGE. As far as the rewards program, as it's been shared, we are ending it in its current state on March 30th. And so you do have another 2 weeks or so that you can continue to generate volume, and there will be a treasure rewarded in the final chest on March 30th. You will then have an opportunity to either keep that treasure a few weeks later or to redeem it for the fees that you paid as part of the announcement that we made yesterday. That'll be a decision that's completely up to you in terms of whether you want to hold on to it as it's meaningfully considered by the foundation at TGE, or do you want to get some of your fees back immediately based on, when we made our announcement. We are going to go through a period of 0% fees for 60 days after that. So for all of April and all of May, you will be able to token trade on OpenSea at 0%. And we hope that people use that as an opportunity to really experience token trading inside of our desktop application as well as mobile. And then we will make announcements on a move forward basis as to any other kinds of rewards or incentive programs that we put into place that will mostly be focused and geared around ensuring that our fees remain competitive for those that make OpenSea their home for trading.
Awesome. Iron Shake, any response or follow-up questions?
No, not much. That kind of takes care of it. I just, I still hold a Genesis, so I guess I'll be claiming that and keeping that.
That was a question from the chat. Is there anything you could speak to about like the future Genesis? Any comments on Genesis? Mooncat asked a couple times in the chat about what's the future of Genesis look like? He might hold one or two of those, I think.
Yeah, I think he's got a couple in like a wallet somewhere. He probably forgot about them. Love that guy. I can't share anything about that at this moment. I will note that Genesis was always released as a, sort of collectible in the moment to represent, your status at that time for using, the prior product. It was never promised that it would have any additional utility. That being said, we do recognize that there are a lot of people that hold them, a lot of people that care about them, and it is part of the discussion with the foundation as to if that is something that should be taken into account. I cannot confirm nor deny that, other than to say that it's something that has been part of discussions around allocations.
Awesome. I think that's probably about as best as you could hope for today. So appreciate you taking that one. Adam, again, truly appreciative of your time today. Far longer than we anticipated. I thought we might have you till 10. It's 10:43 and you're still hanging out with us. Is there anything we didn't ask you today? Is there anything that you're hoping to get across or hoping to share with the audience today?
No, look, I really appreciate the stage and the opportunity to speak to the community. I far prefer this kind of setting where we can have an open dialogue and an open discussion. And for anybody that is listening, if you heard something today that surprised you, if you changed your perspective a bit on OpenSea or decisions that we're making, I encourage you to share that. I encourage you to either share it publicly or to send it to me in a one-on-one DM if you have questions, concerns. We are genuinely waking up every day trying to move this space forward to build incredible products that are going to bring more people into crypto. We deeply care about our existing users and our existing community. It is never our favorite thing to wake up in the morning and make decisions that we feel are going to disappoint you or to frustrate you or have you, God forbid, lose trust in OpenSea or our communications with you. I recognize that this was a moment where we had to kind of eat our vegetables and recognize that we made a commitment and then we made an adjustment. And I do think that we've taken some really significant steps to try to do right by the community under those circumstances. We'll continue to try to do right by the community moving forward. The foundation, I'm confident, will announce a new timeline for TGE when it is ready and when it believes that they will be able to execute with a high degree of success and to create something that is genuinely sustainable and not just a meme coin to be released and forgotten. And I am happy to do more of these kind of discussions with the market. And so if there are, spaces, events, folks writing articles or otherwise, then, ping me and the team and we'll try to set something up. And I really appreciate the opportunity to just talk openly about everything that we're building and doing. And I hope that most people that are listening share some of the perspectives of the people that got up on stage, which, feels to me in this moment like, all right, kind of sucks that the token's not happening right now, but at least these guys are waking up with good intentions and are building towards a better future for digital ownership and crypto. And that's something that we are really genuinely excited about. And hopefully we'll get some of these new products into your hands soon.
Respect. And I'll say, even for the ones that didn't get the answers they were hoping for, in particular, I mentioned, regarding like wave 1 and 2, why aren't those being refunded? They've even followed up and said, respect for answering the questions, for being here today. And it does mean a lot. We're very often very critical about crypto native teams and their communication or lack thereof. And no team's going to move perfectly. No one's going to make everyone happy. But I think from my perspective as an active participant, an active user of OpenSea and many other platforms, this is all I can really ask for, other than, I don't know, like 5-6 figure bag of C, kid. The other thing I can ask for is the communication, is give us updates, let us know. And also, I understand that it's not always your decision. There's this unique dynamic of labs and foundation, and you can't always, sometimes TGE, you just can't share things before they go TGE or a product launch. Like, sometimes you just got to keep stuff close to the vest, whether it be legal or otherwise. And appreciate you showing up today, answering everything you can, and taking this stuff head on. And I double down or echo on the ask to keep sending the feedback. If you're listening today and you got thoughts or questions or concerns, pass along to Adam, the rest of the team. Appreciate y'all getting up early and working to push the space forward. Not just getting up early. I know no information other than what was shared today, other than I did get a text from a team member at like 10:22 last night regarding like this interview today. And so it's up early, it's late nights. And I know from my interactions with yourself and other team members, the team cares very much, and that matters. You're not going to be perfect. It's very, very hard to make everyone happy here, but the team cares about crypto, about NFTs, digital collectibles, and really, I truly believe wanting to push the space forward. It's a tough spot you're in, and again, respect for showing up and taking the. I think a lot of these errors on behalf of the foundation, and great respect for that. It's a tough spot to be in, but I think OpenSea is very fortunate to have yourself and Chris and Steve and many others on the team that have done a lot of good. We got it from Iron Shag there, who checked out for about a year and just coming back. Tremendous changes, not just in the platform, but in the communication and the team, just a 180 from where it was 18 months ago, 12 months ago. Like it's been a very noticeable positive change. And that has me much more bullish on the C token today than I would have been 18 months ago. 18 months ago would have been an instant dump for me. And I would have said, thanks for whatever it was. Now it's like, there's very much so intent going into this and thought, and will it work? Who knows? But at least the intent and the effort is going into it, and certainly rooting for not just the C token, but OpenSea at large. I do think it would benefit the space at large for OpenSea to win on this one. So thanks again, Adam. Really appreciate you being here, and we'll let you get out of here. Again, I did not mean to take you this long, but appreciate your time. You're welcome back anytime you'd like to share any updates. Greatly appreciate you sharing with the Coffee with Captain audience today, and we'll certainly stay tuned. When you're ready I know you'll probably do your own announcement following when this thing does actually drop. But if you want to follow up on that, the stage is open invite.
Really appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much for the opportunity, and thanks for everybody for listening.
You got it. We'll get you out of here. I do have one quick read before we let everyone go, before we wrap up the show. I'm going to do a quick play-in, a quick read. Hang out with me for like 60 more seconds, and we'll let everyone get on with their St. Patrick's Day. This is Keeping It Real with Doma.
Buying domains was slow, Doma changing the game. One bridge, one standard, now the systems move the same. Registrar, stay central, keep the trust and control. DNS and compliance, still they play the key role. Traded on chain, let new markets arise. Domain value unlocked. Welcome to DomainFi.
That might be the first time you've ever heard of DomainFi. Might be the first time you've ever heard of Doma. This segment is Keeping It Real. It's a focus on RWAs. We do it a couple times a week, just a brief segment talking about the $26 billion RWA market, that infrastructure being built right now. McKinsey not me, not crypto Twitter, McKinsey is projecting that RWA market grows to 16 trillion by 2030. So from 26 billion, which is up from 4 or 6 billion last year, incredible year-over-year growth, all the way from 26 trillion, 16 trillion by just 2030. The gap between those numbers is infrastructure, settlement rails, custody, oracles, compliance layers. DOMA's angle is the internet domain system is one of the oldest, most robust global registries ever built. 30 years of ICANN compliance, 390 million records. It's not new infrastructure. It's legacy infrastructure being unlocked. We're still early. Tune in today. We're actually kicking off a new series called DOMA on Air with the DOMA leadership team. That's going to go live this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern time here on X and YouTube. It'll be on the DOMA's YouTube and DOMA's X. Honored to be hosting this series with today. I'll be joined by the DOMA leadership team, Fred, who you might have got to hear from last week, as well as Michael and Bob. Again, more if you're curious about DOMA, if you're curious about how you might be able to tap into the liquidity of domains you might own, or if you're interested in acquiring shares or tokens that represent a stake in other domains, tune in today, bring your questions, but excited to share more of that with all of you in this new series. It will be, again, live on X, YouTube, and we'll share the recording or a link tomorrow on the show as well if you can't make it this afternoon. But bring your questions for the DOMA team. More on that soon. And appreciate you being here today. Thanks for the questions. Do appreciate everyone for being respectful of Adam and the OpenSea team. I know not everyone got the answers you're hoping for, but I hope you can at least attempt to put yourselves in the shoes of OpenSea and that leadership team and where they're at. And if you were them, would you just drop the token before you had your products ready to go? In this case, in their case, an app, perps products, and market conditions that aren't great. And if you're questioning market conditions, again, I reference Pump Fund. I'm vested in Mega ETH. I'd love the Mega ETH TGE to happen. It's not just because of historical volume. I've got a Fluffle, and I've got was in one of their Echo rounds, and I'm just patiently waiting. But I also glad that Mega ETH hasn't rushed that TGE. And this is one where it's not just historical volume, it's actual real investment dollars that are just sitting until they TGE. Not making this PvP. Every team is different. I know OpenSea's been around for a long time, and they could have dropped this a year ago. I genuinely mean it. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they're doing it right, or at least doing it what they believe to be right, as opposed to rushing it just because they had set a deadline. And things change, and I do not envy their position. I would not want to be in Adam's shoes. I also don't think he needs to do this. As he said, he was essentially retired prior to this. He's done well in his professional career. He'd done very well in NFT and crypto trading. And I don't believe he needs the quote unquote job, but he really is passionate about the space. Obviously passionate about collectors. The one question I didn't get to ask him was about his career, his lore as a Nintendo gameplay champ. But someone who's very, very clearly passionate about the space, very clearly passionate about collectibles. And I meant what I said. I said it with Adam on the show. I'll say it with him off the show. I have noticed a significant improvement in OpenSea. I was a bear on this C drop just in general. And I've 180 flipped. I don't care about the timeline when it drops. I want it to drop right. And I'd much rather it drop right and have a chance of long-term sustainable success than just drop now. And so we can just rush to the exits and capture some liquidity. The team is really loaded with talent. And I also meant what I said about them doing good for the NFT space at large, the digital collectible space at large. What they did at Art Basel and the supporting of the 010 exhibit there was huge. What they're doing for collectors and allow lists and whitelist, like the biz dev team doesn't get enough credit. You know, obviously I'm close with Steve. Steve is a leader on that OpenSea leadership team. He was my co-host here for 1,000 episodes. This C token could open at 0. It's not going to change my friendship or relationship with Steve. But yeah, I do want to see him do well. And there's a reason I'm friends with Steve. Like they are very passionate about this space. And I don't think there's another team top to bottom that has the talent they do and truly genuinely cares about the collectible space as that team does. And I will ride with the team that I feel is doing things the right way, communicating to the best of their abilities with the information they're allowed to share. And appreciate y'all tuning in today, bringing the good questions, some tough questions. But everyone was respectful. Not a single person disagreeable on stage, at least. Got a few sideways comments in the chat, but to be expected. And if it makes you feel better to get that stuff out, by all means. But I do appreciate y'all being here. If you're new, we run this back every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. We'll cover news of the day, trending topics, market updates. We'll have a couple segments from time to time, and we're very fortunate. Often we get guests like Adam to join us at that 9 o'clock hour for a deeper dive, whether it's a CEO, a founder, someone on a leadership team, or even just a subject matter expert on a particular topic that I might not be well versed on. But that being said, join us today at 3 if you want more on the RWA world, specifically DomainFi and what DOMA is doing. Tune in to DOMA on air. And if you missed that or you're not able to make it, be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time here on Coffee. Appreciate y'all. And as Steve would say, hope you all have a wonderful day, everyone.